Hello.
Did you beat Metaphor?
I beat Metaphor. Can we talk about Metaphor? Can we talk about Metaphor?
Yeah, can we talk about Metaphor?
All right, hold on. Okay, let's go.
Oh, okay. It's Metaphor Spoilercast now. Okay.
All right, everyone, we're going to talk about Metaphor Refantazio. Here comes the spoiler cast. So
I cannot believe that the main villain of
hold on. Give them a second to leave.
Give them a second.
Give them a second to leave. This is a very big game that literally you're the only person I know that actually beat it. Everyone I know that plays these games,
it's long.
It's very long. So people that I know love these games still need a minute to get through it. It takes so long. So yes,
and that was because I went super hard on it. I would do like a fucking 6-hour stream, and then I would help put the baby to bed, and then fucking go back at like 10:30 p.m. and do until like 2 in the morning.
And I was going at what I felt was like a reasonable push for this, especially for this week, and it was still the insane Atlas, we are never letting you go, vibe. And so anyway, so let's.
You know what's really funny about that vibe is that it does feel like that it is a marathon. But you look at the dates and it's like, oh, it's 4 months.
Yeah,
I guess it'll be like way shorter.
But what I actually feel, and that Punch Mom came through and was like, did you beat it yet? And I was like, no, that wasn't even, that wasn't even the beginning of the farewell tour. It's like. RPGs are, every genre has gone through the thing where, people that have been playing them their entire lives need higher and higher bars set for each entry. And now if you're not splitting it into 3 giant things, you get this kind of like persona bar where Atlas RPGs are going to just be more and more. And to recommend this, it's a very good game to tell people that you're going to be spending minimum 100 hours. Right?
This is a great Christmas present game.
It's so demanding of your time. and for this to be going into like adulthood where responsibilities mean you have less and less time is nuts. It's nuts that the group of people that were like, I have a ton of time and I'm in high school and I'm in college, that we were playing like Persona a while ago, are now who's buying these things, but you have less time than ever, but they have to hit a bar that's higher than ever of your time. It's long.
The ultimate game as length argument that I can think of right now is that if I got a video game for Christmas and it was the one video game, would that last me my entire Christmas break?
I mean,
right? Atlas games will, and then some.
So here's the thing. To play it at the breakneck speeds that I'd say you make it through, or Shmup Godpad.
This is the fastest I've ever played a game. It's
an unhealthy amount required, right?
No, Elden Ring was the fastest.
Okay, and here's the thing. Consider somebody who has a job that is not able to play video games as part of that job. Yeah. It's unreasonable. It's unreasonable for someone to work a normal...
Let's do the math on this. The average person after work or whatever is going to have an hour, 2 hours of video game time a day. If they wanted to dedicate that time in their life to video game, right?
When I was trying to get through stuff, that would be a realistic depiction of it, I'd say, for me. Or there was friends who liked to crush achievements, get through everything.
Yeah.
They'd be able to put in 3, sometimes even 4 if they stayed up late, Okay,
but let's say you get an hour and a half a night. If you want to be reasonable. Now you're not going to do that every single night.
No.
Let's say you do that every other. That's 100 days.
Yeah,
right there. That's 100 days.
Scratch a few weekends where you say, you know what, this Sunday I'm going to throw my whole Sunday at the game. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what happens? Your wife is like, why don't we go antique chair shopping? And you're like, that sounds great, honey. I would love an antique chair I can't sit in.
Yeah, responsibilities do start to kick in. Anyway, so all that is understood, and
that is a fictional scenario.
But the
totally fictional,
not at all real, based on reality. But the point remains is that it's insane what they're asking, but I'm not complaining about the quality. All right, so
did you see the part of the game that they cut? Did you see it with your eye? where you go to a bespoke famous location and fight one boss fight and leave.
Oh, yes. The
fucking school that they're building up the whole game.
Okay, yes.
The fucking ice school, and then you go to have a boss fight in front of it and you don't enter.
Okay, so we can talk about it. There's a couple different angles for this. There's certainly as a video game, there's what's going on with it, like with the just asset usage and the way it's built. But what I was scribbling notes down as I was going through it, especially like for this last part, because I thought I had it figured out, and then I didn't. And then the closing like rush, that final month, really switched up what I kind of thought was going on with the game. Okay, so for one, right? And I feel like they've left, as much as this is it's the most political game that I've played out of Atlas.
No, it's not. It's a metaphor.
I don't I know that I feel like whenever I say these things, someone will go like, bro, Persona 1 though, or an SMT game I haven't played, and I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. But
no, this is the most by far, 100%.
Of the 5 that I've played, right, this is now the 6th. This feels like the most. And with that, it is also like it's them going, it's their version of like, you can't go Disco Elysium hard, but this is as hard as we can go within
the context of
where
system.
We are, exactly, within our own system, within our location, our time, space, whatever placement.
It's also like not just necessarily narratively, but there's also politically, but there's also a narrative bent to it. Because there's been an ongoing problem in fiction for a long time, which is it's incredibly difficult to write a charismatic villain that people don't end up just fawning over to the point where their own ideals shift their perspective.
Yes, the first time the first time
Tony Montana and Walter White and shit like this.
The first time you encounter a villain where you're like, the villain is debatably right. Where people are going like, this person did nothing wrong, and you're like, ooh, I like that kind of villain way more than cartoonish evil.
Then you get this one and you think that's what he's going for. Nah, fuck it.
Take it a step further, right? And it's interesting how you can have like an RPG play out where the twists are not even really huge twists. They're all very foreseeable. The only major real one is like the reasons why the villain is doing what he's doing. But let's
I think they've gone really far with like anti-twists in this game, in that motivations and methods and Machiavellian things. I mean, there's some good ass twists in there, right?
Oh yeah.
But like the single biggest twist of the whole fucking game to me was that Lewis was him. Like, assassination attempt, followed by boss fight, followed by fall through the fucking thing. No, I'm okay. Really?
Oh,
you just lived through that? Are you serious?
I mean, so for me, I looked at that and I'm like, that's the Griffith in you that is just dragging you through sheer determination to the finish line, because how hard you believe in your ideals determines how far you can go. Right?
Like, there's
your
real
convictions
I lived
are your real life bar. Yeah, bitch, I lived. But no, your convictions are your real life bar. That
I do have to give them like props for having a second villain whose motivations have no depth at all.
Which one?
Adachi would be the first one.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, right.
Right. It'll get to Lewis. Why are you doing this? Because everyone was mean to me when I was a baby.
No. I'm not gonna say no depth there. I disagree with that part. But I think though, just backing it up a little bit, the fact too as well that like, every time they make a point here, right? You can feel like in P3, 4, and so where like you have a personal revelation and then you kind of internalize it, and like you spend the rest of the game kind of like revisiting those topics from moment to moment, but you kind of leave that resolution where it was, where you're not you're facing your true self happens. and then you go on to solve the external problem in a way, you know. In this case, I feel like even after you solve the problem, they spend so much time being like, hey, listen, just because people believe in you because you fought and saved them from a big evil does not mean they agree with your ideals, right? The happily ever after as a concept is not going to suddenly switch on just because the sky turned blue. And they spend...
Hazme is like the most peak of that in this game, where you go through his thing and you deal with the Yugif and their racism and all that, and the kid, and it's so sad. And then you still play through most of the game where he's like, I don't like those fucking cat boys on this ship.
Yeah. Which, I mean, and you know, you have the... it's such a trope, but I love it, is that moment of, you know, Basilio being like, hey, old man, you sure you want to die next to a fucking cat boy? He's like, no. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. Okay. One, human beings, are panic attacks.
Yeah.
To be a human is to have a panic attack.
Yeah, that's right.
It is anxiety exploding out of you till it gets externalized in a completely unfamiliar, unknowable, insane form. And that is like...
it's a metaphor.
Yes, right? Having a panic attack, having anxiety, to that, when it explodes out of you, it turns you into a titan. You know? That's already like... that's a fantastic metaphor. It's, you know, starting there and basically looking at it like, you know, like, I think we have, you know, there's a line where it's like, nature used to be man's biggest threat, you know, but then eventually it became fear, and it became internal things, you know, and I would say that, like, a lot of fiction have talked about like, you know, fear and hatred as these, like, these things that are, you know, they poison the mind, and a lot of our fiction has been about going against that. Anxiety, in particular, is a very specific and modern flavor of that, you know, because it's not the same as just hatred and just fear. It's a very specific flavor, and at one point, Gallica says, it's a mixture of hope and fear at the same time, and I'm like, ooh, that's a really good way to put it, you know. So I like that becomes like a focal point of what the game is dealing with, to the point where, like, it's literally the currency of magic.
Like, oh no, I'm being attacked by ennui. Oh fuck.
I mean, like, ennui almost implies like disconnection from it, though, right? Like, this is being way too engaged and being unable to see outside of your own shit. There's and overall, like, I feel like, you know, as you're kind of you're getting towards those final months, this is one of my favorite contexts for the super mission, your kind of side super boss,
totally
the
integrated
dragons,
into the primary plot,
into the thesis statement of the game. It's a really great way to introduce that, right? Because you start putting together, basically, okay, to me, at the very least, my interpretation of the events are the thing that they keep repeating: strive towards fantasy, right? My reading on that is that, like, there's no perfect democratic utopia. That doesn't exist. Reading about it in this book in this way, and you're like, hey, that's kind of like our world. That's fucking crazy. That's not a utopia, right? There's nobility in striving towards the impossible idea, because you are creating a positive world and helping as many people on the way to that impossible goal, right? So I feel like that is what they're getting at. And there's a couple of points where, like, okay, you're keeping that in mind and going forward with things, and then the sort of the tower quest, and then the dragons, and then the final one is a really interesting, like, okay, if that's your thesis statement, let's, like, argue against that, right? Let's steelman it. Let's go, well, it's great that you're inspiring hope in people. That's cool. And you're teaching people that if you conquer the anxiety inside of you, you can reach greater heights, you know, and become something more, and overcome your trials, right? But the whole final the whole final dragon bit, the conversation they have at the end is like, okay, but just because you're inspiring hope in people, like, what's the difference between that and like complacency, believing in someone that can do the job for you, essentially? And like the questions that it asks right up front, like your party almost goes, shit, he's got a point. Like, they kind of buy into it, and then it's only after beating it that they're like, no. Just because someone can do it for you does not mean that you just need to sit and let that happen, right? Being autonomous, being self-determining is super important as well to this. So, yes, face your inner fears and all that, and overcome your anxieties, and other people can help you with that, and you can rely on others to show you that. But don't... when you're relying on them, don't have that be like, I'm going to sit back and have them drag me out of it. You know, I can't get out of it myself if I'm not moving, waiting for someone to pull me out of my shit.
I was really glad that the game had an extremely extended epilogue that goes into this in more detail, where it's like, listen, the city on the hill is a metaphor. It's supposed to be a striving goal that you can never quite reach, right?
It.
And so the entire epilogue is you going to every single person you have ever met going, things are definitely better than they were during the election, but there's a lot of work to go. It's going to take a really, really long time. And we may never do it, but boy, howdy, I'm going to give it a shot.
The world is slow to change. Things are, all these issues that we're dealing with are way more complicated than, again, happily ever after, you know? And what's the line? There's there's that bit where right at the end of that super boss, the true enemy is the mind that refuses to see the complexities in the world around them, right? Yes, you can black and white things, but like, if you are like trying to if you're trying to look at this in a way where you want to not just see this type of suffering cycle over and over again, acknowledge that it's more than like the people that are looking at Luis and being like, nah, I want to believe in that though. I have something inside of me that's like, yeah, that's easy, that's simple. I am the right person I need to be on top and whatever. It's going to take a while to root that kind of shit out. You can't just like hand wave it away. But overall, march towards the unreachable city on the hill, march towards fantasy, and like landing somewhere in between that in reality is a pretty good place to be in the meantime. Now,
just aim for the moon and you'll
land among the stars. But then it's like, okay, but hold on a minute, pause. More is like, I am offering you reality, the one that you, the player, knows. You can take it. Nothing's wrong here. It's fine. Just take it. It's good. That'll do, right?
What a great psych out. What a great psych out
really
for the player
good.
Only. Like Will is not super psyched out by modern day Shibuya, but we are.
Yep.
And then you're further psyched out by the fact that you look at it a little more closely and wait, it's wrong. All that text is gibberish.
But here's the thing. For us, the player, right, what is more comforting than escaping into the world you know as a Japanese college student playing a JRPG? Like, escape into the inside world you know of comfort, where it's safe and nothing's crazy's happening and it's not dangerous, and you can just believe in this closed off thing, you know? Escape inside when the outside world gets too scary, and just believe in nothing, you know, and lock it down and don't let the outside world, and like, nah, you got to reject that shit, obviously, you know? But it's like, it's the fact that it's done through the lens of the player is particularly powerful. I also like, it's such a basic, simple trick, but I can't believe it fucking still works. When Earthbound asks you to put in your name, and you fucking do, and then and then they take a minute, but when they come back around to using it, oh fuck, it's me.
Long time later,
you know. And that same thing here, where you're like, oh, what the? I put my name in. When did I do that? Oh fuck, right, a million years ago. That's really well done. I love, so like, I feel like that, yeah, they responsibly address material, and then like take a minute to just go point by point on each of these struggles and go like, yep, we're gonna keep working on this. That's how you actually epilogue a story and denouement the climb down, right? On Luis, your twist, quote unquote, it's so simple because it's him the whole way through, but it's like survival of the fittest, a big strongest survive plot world or whatever.
I gotta say, the survival of the fittest guy actually really actually surviving because he's the fittest for 99% of the runtime was very refreshing.
Yeah, but it's also, again, it's a world that, you know, villains usually want because they're like, well, I'm strong, so I'll thrive, and I want this, you know, twisted like version of like, yeah, power might makes right, and just make the world all about that, right?
Also,
end of story.
Like a really clear metaphorical thing with Lucifer and the SMT series, in that like he looks like Lucifer, he acts like Lucifer. His ending for the world is the chaos ending for every SMT game, in which it's like, well, no, the tough meat will fucking thrive in this monsterized utopia.
How about him taking off the fucking crown?
Oh, you mean Lamar face Lewis?
You know, the horns.
Lost my mind. I lost it.
Yeah. But the bit where it's just like, what's the simple thing that you're like, that's different here? What's your twist? And it's like, oh yeah, he still wants a world of these insane anxiety monsters popping off everywhere, but the idea is those who are strong, not physically but of will, can overcome it and do what you did and fight your way through on your own to the other side and find determination. And
he is basically Senator Armstrong.
The strongest survive, but like, it's like, I understand that it would be unfair to say that like Granny needs to fight off a demon, so it's not that. It's Granny needs to be internally strong enough to quell the demon inside, right? And furthermore, why am I wrong? This stupid fucking staff has been taking away their anxieties forever. They were supposed to feel that shit. I'm just giving you back everything that was already yours, you know? Of course, you want to talk about your metaphors, the crown literally weighing, literally taking the weight of everyone's pressure, right? Everyone laying their anxieties on it, taking the blame, so to speak.
Why does the king look like shit so bad? Oh my God. Oh, yes, he suffered personal tragedy, but he's just like slumping around, willing to fucking kill himself at any drop of a hat.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, well, he's kind of absorbing an entire society's worth of bullshit.
And so that's why you have like towards the end, the party is like, does Luis have a point? And they're like, yes, but still, you know, he wants people to overcome their anxiety too, but he wants you to do it alone, you know? And like having friends, fuck that bullshit. That's for losers. That's lame. Be strong on your own. Don't trust other people. And of course, S-Links goes against the very fucking, you know, philosophy of that. I only wish in those moments that like Will, the protagonist, spoke to Luis the way that Stroll or Gallica is yelling at him. Yeah, you know, I wish that your silent protag, who's not silent,
gets more of a personality as the game goes on.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, you want to hit those points and like challenge them rhetorically. Speaking of lines and shit too as well. Some of the absolute bangers. One, Luis starting the fight with "Let it begin" is a fire line for a final boss fight. Obviously, the academia theme, like divine god heaven remix is the greatest shit. You know, throwing in your staying sane in a fight, not bloody likely. Like getting your Seinfeld in there, always fun. But what I fucking popped off for is throughout the whole game, my favorite battle cry on the party was Hulkenberg. Every once in a while when you go to her, for all that we strive for, right? I fucking love that line. It's the best line the entire fucking party has. It's great. I get pumped up every time I hear it. And having that then, when you get to him, get echoed and Luis goes back with, for all that I believe. I'm like, they know. They know how good that line is because he has his own version of it. I love that mirror. It's amazing.
How did the fight with Luis go for you?
Okay. So my build was I had it took me to I had 7 days left before I was like pretty much like, all right, hit the Coliseum up, waste time, you know.
Yeah. It looks like the math on it, you look at when you get there, you're like, oh, maybe I don't have enough. You definitely have enough time to do absolutely everything.
So by the time I unlocked Prince, so Prince is insanely busted and you're like, why would I ever use anything else? Like, switch over to your merchant if you need to make some cash, and if you need to make some, you know, to farm or whatever.
I'm just gonna feed all my good abilities into Prince.
But the moment I got that and then Stroll Royal Warrior, it was like, oh yeah, it's done. Because the joke, I had to slow down how strong I was to make sure I didn't miss phases of each fight, right?
So I definitely should have done that.
I remember. I
definitely missed phases.
Okay, so did you miss the phase of Luis or did you miss the phase of Zorba?
I missed both of them. I missed Luis. I had to be told while the credits were running that Luis has the racist attacks.
Yes. He started one on me, but I stopped him before he did anything.
I literally saw 0 of them. So what happened is that I had Prince, and Prince was fucked out. I had Juna on, not Juna. I had Yufa on support, which she could do everything. Then I had Hazme as a debuffer, and then I had Basilio for damage. And so what ended up happening is Basilio's turn would come up, and he would use a 1-stock turn sync attack that would like break the damage limit and give the boss a blunt damage weakness.
Okay.
And then Hazme would debuff, and then Yufa would buff Basilio, and then Prince would attack, and then Basilio would hit the weakness that he created with a 1-turn sync attack.
Yeah.
And then when it was the boss's turn, the boss would target Hazme because I had every single thing on Hazme going target me, and he would miss, and he would lose eight turns.
Yeah.
It would be my turn again.
So that ability is really busted for sure. Hazme's final ability. You can buy it on a ring, by the way, and put that on your character too. So the dodge ring does the same thing. That was pretty nice. Getting Hazme's final royal fucking thief
it's a lot.
Batshit. It's so nuts.
It's the best ability in the game because it breaks every encounter. And as a result, they're like, well, you're gonna have to work for it.
Yeah, it's so like, really work each time I was like, okay, I have to get merchant up. Okay, what do I gotta do? You gotta go, okay. Now you gotta go get fucking sniper up to get, oh my god. And then each branch, you have to invest like halfway up, like maybe like 10 different trees of that to get to his.
But yeah, there's a lot of shit that's broken in that game, like broken.
Okay, so I was not okay. Well, two things. One, so with the racist attack, I didn't get to see what it does, but I saw him go. He basically started going like he started talking shit about Clamar, I think, and then he was priming it, but then I just stopped him before he could do it.
So what happens is that he will talk shit about Clamar. And the next turn, he will kill any Clamar party member on the field, which is only Stroll.
Stroll, yeah.
So you swap in.
Okay.
And so it's supposed to be all the races are working together, and that's why you have a member of every single race on the team.
Because you have to switch them. Okay, you have to you have to bring in people of other races that can cover the ground.
He pulls out a race card and goes next turn.
You know what's funny too is the idea of like, well, I mean, Jesus Christ, like the races in this where you're like, oh, these are like, if you wanted to talk about like race where it's like things that people that came from humanity and stuff, it's like, yeah, okay, but then like the Yugif that is literally another race, right?
That is very different.
When human beings talk about race, we're using the wrong word technically because we're the same human race.
We're talking about shade.
So Kleins is the word, right? Like there's
Klein, okay.
Right, Kleins is basically like whatchamacallit, eco variations of the same creature, you know? And so that,
like, most of it is like sunny weather or not adaptation.
Yes, we tend to work the word race in when we start bringing in, like, you know, the culture or the social more and the other aspects of it.
Well, race is a construct to tell us that there's a fundamental difference here. It's not like dogs and wolves. It's like wolves and pugs.
You're sounding like a realist right now. Don't be a.
I'm sorry, I'm getting too real over here.
You're getting too real. But
you in the lobby of Big Pug.
But when you get a bat creature standing next to you and you're like, that is my best friend, you know, that's an actual, like, race thing. But you have
and then you get what are their names, the Juna with the eyeballs and Alonzo.
Oh God. Oh yeah. The shapeshifters. I mean.
Yeah, the fucking potato liars.
Yeah. I forget but you get to see like her little one for like her little blob for a second. Lalafels.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, 100%.
We don't even show each other. God damn it.
Nimia, that's it.
We're too Nydia. We're too afraid.
Nydia.
That shit is super fun. My build ended up being Prince with Almighty Boost and Arcane Unity.
Everyone, yes, do
right?
that. It's built. It's for you. It does Almighty.
Yeah.
Get Almighty off of Merchant, which is best on the MC, and put it on it.
Almighty all day. Like, by the time you're hitting bosses that are like fully resistant, I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit, right? I put on the counter and magic counter, because like when those pop off, you lose all turns. And the crucial bit was that last item that you can pick up at the magic shop, the utilitarian manual, where double techs cost 1 turn.
That is
insane.
That is
to infinity.
I feel like that is an item that they should not have let you buy until New Game Plus.
It's batshit. It's completely batshit.
Because I was describing Basilio giving himself damage cap breaking weaknesses into themselves because of that fucking thing.
Oh, so for me, what I ended up getting, it was Stroll. I had Stroll with the utilitarian manual. And then the beloved greatsword, which is the sword that buffs up synthesis, right? So fuck the high-end final end sword for him. The one that buffs your synthesis skills triples their damage. And
yeah, of course.
You unlock the 999 everything die synthesis, right? With Prince, but it's like I was hitting like 14K. With Stroll doing Crimson Moon sword art, the amazing like red one where you just you slash the screen up, annihilated every single fight.
They wanted you to beat this game, right? Atlas games, like, you can get into a problem with an Atlas game in which you get to the end and you're like, this party isn't gonna do it. They're not gonna. Oh shit, right? So they gave you here's like 40 days to get your shit in order. And also the final dungeon is you could just level yourself to infinity. That's it. And it's fast.
Tyrant Star is what do you want the game to be when you fight? You sit here for as long as you want and go as hard as you want to. It's very simple, you know. The auto spawners actually come back when you leave. It just says how much time you got. Where do you want to get to, you know? And it's interesting because for all the challenges that you're deleting, there was that one dragon where it puts you down to 300, you know, where it's like you have the poison dragon. Destroyer of the Stars, I think it was called, where it's just like, yeah, you're gonna have less HP, but who the fuck here cares? Hulkenberg is sitting in the back doing Holy Knight's Proclamation and shielding everybody, and getting a turn back for doing it. Like, we're not going anywhere.
If I was gonna say one thing about metaphor as like a problem, if you go hard on it, like I did, you get into a situation where, like, I broke the game before 9/11.
Okay.
Like, and I basically ran the game plan I described to you to beat Lewis from the events of 9/11 onward, with like no change at all, and nothing could stop me at all. Like, nothing. Like, bosses were throwing out gimmicks and shit like that. Like, no, they didn't have a chance.
Yeah, I noticed too that, like, I wanted to stay on the build that I had, and it was like, the game was like, yeah, but go explore, make other builds, have fun, you know. It was so I switched off for the parts after 9/11 up until the Inner Sanctum, but yeah, they chose the dates, y'all.
Oh, it was so on purpose.
Like the good old days before 9/11.
Hey, can I just talk about like a really, really great lie that the devs told before this game came out? Like a great lie. So the devs said, when people ask, hey, can I romance my S-Lings?
Oh, I knew you were going to talk about romance. Yeah,
and they said there are no optional romances in Metaphor. And people went, I can't believe it. And so you play Metaphor and you start going through every single character's S-Link, and they're right. There are no optional romances because they have decided, fuck you, we are picking for you this time. And it is the girl who, if you are Will Metaphor, then she is euphemism.
She's euphemism. Exactly. Like, exactly. And guess what? Last time y'all tried to shove me next to Yukari on that beach, and I raged against it forever. This time around, Yufa rules, so that's great. I had no issues with it whatsoever. The party is awesome. The party's great, and if you,
it's the best RPG party since like FF7.
Like, if you,
every single character there is a winner.
They're all amazing. They're all good. It was so strong, you know. Even if you're like, I like Juna more, and Juna's like, hey, I got something to confess to you. I'll tell you after the adventure's over. We'll talk about it another time. So even if you felt like putting your feelings out there, the game's like, yeah, it's not what we're trying to do right now, you know. No, man, everyone, like, I said it when I first got Hazme, but I was like, I can't, like, I'm so compelled by his quest, by his plot, by the fact that he has, like, amazing wisdom that he drops, he says shit. I wish Hazme was there for, like, every other RPG that I've ever played.
I totally agree.
You know?
He's so incredible.
Ugh. It's like, he's like, I know where you're coming from. I get it. But, like, he fucking he talks you down, man. Yeah, and like, the whole time, too, when Del and Basilio were hanging out, I was like, I know it's going to be one of these cat boys. Please be Basilio. Please be Basilio. Because he's cooler. You know? I dug his vibe more. And I'm glad I won that bet.
There's something about Del that kind of broke for me, because the game is using like a 60s 70s like British fashion style, and like, I dig it, but for some reason Del was the one where I'm like instead of being its own like take on like a style of fashion in a new setting, I look at Del and I'm like, that dude is trying to be one of the Beatles.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has like a Liverpool accent like doesn't help.
Aggressively. They are aggressively looking like 70 or 60s 70s fucking UK Brit pop dudes for sure.
Yeah, like he's a tiny Paul McCartney.
God, fucking what are the brothers that the British brothers that have the famous song and then they split up and now they're coming back together and then they fucking whatever, doesn't matter. I can't.
ZZ Top?
No.
That wasn't even close.
That's not
oh
even
my
remotely.
God.
That's not even remotely. Oasis.
Oh my God. That.
Yes, I was just like, fuck it. I'm like, here comes Oasis, like 70s coded. But no, but between the two,
Yeah.
that was great. And I loved it when I started pushing Basilio towards pugilist, and then and martial artist, and like when you pick that archetype and get into a fight with him, and he's like, I love this path. This is the perfect style
Good,
for
I like
me.
it.
He keeps saying it over and over, like, you did it, you picked the right one. And it's like, you did pick the right one, because this is going to be part of his final requirement,
It's weird to me how the game balances the classes, the archetypes, in that, well, this guy's going to join the party really late, so he's not going to have the built-up archetypes that the other characters are going to have. So what we're going to do is make each starting archetype more and more busted right out the gate.
Yeah.
You get Juna, and you're like, this is busted. Then you get Yufa, and you're like, no, this is busted. And then you get Basilio, and you're like, oh, I don't even have to use my fucking brain here.
Why even bother investing in other types when I can just invest in masks and power through with mass dancer, like it or the summons are just
I gave Juna like the mask wizard, the mask of the wizard, and it carried me like the whole game.
Yeah, I threw healer on her, it's great. I don't know if you had this, but that fucking cat in Academia that gives you a reward the first time you pet it, and then never again for the rest of the game. 150 fucking hours later, you're just like, oh, he's so cute. And I'm like, why did you give me a reward the first time? Why did you
because petting cats is cool.
Of course. But then now it's in your brain. You're like, oh, maybe this, and like, this is a game where if you use the bathroom on the right day, you might get a luck bonus. If you fucking...
Oh, did you ever figure out what the specific
every
rules
5
for that
days.
were?
Every 5 days. Yeah, right.
That's too far.
It's like...
That's not good for you.
Obtuseness, right? So that's the thing is I'm like, oh, there must be a trick to the cat, and the reward off the cat will be based on when you go or whatever. It's like, no, you just get the one, and now you're gonna install a mechanic you'll never use again in the person's brain. So yeah, you talk about the cut dungeon that is the magic school, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, like they walk up to it, they look at it in the background, and then a dragon drops in front of you, and you're like,
no, don't go in there. We didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
But and then at the same time too, like this whole thing of like, this is our own new franchise, this is its own new place, Metaphor is a new IP. That is, you don't have to compare it to Soul Hacker, Trickster, Persona Master, like fucking
that's not
Devil Summoner, Dragon Grace Shinjuku.
You've been playing this game like in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how far it goes with the Shinjuku dungeon?
I mean, beyond seeing it for what it is.
Oh, okay. No. Wooly, okay, so I started to delve deep into the dungeon where it goes to Shinjuku, and I'm like, wow, it is nuclear apocalypse again. They literally cannot help themselves.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Minotaur at the bottom of this.
Like, they cannot help themselves. It has to be this. But then you get to the Shinjuku dungeon. Metaphor is not an SMT game. It is an Etrian Odyssey game. That is the final dungeon of Etrian Odyssey 1.
Oh.
That is the exact layout.
Oh my god, that's why it's so fucking mazy and complex. Etria. Okay, because on Etria, I was going like the air. I kept, I looked at EHT as like a scrambled the, and then I was like, I can't
Yeah, because in Etrian Odyssey, it deals with a similar apocalypse in which a tree grows from the bottom to like rejuvenate society.
Okay.
So Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be built on that island in the future.
Oh my god.
That's what the FOE system is. Like, because that's why you have to deal with them in the grid, and they move with you on the grid, because that's how it works in Etrian Odyssey.
That's why the bouncing ears are moving. Yeah, okay, and there's doors and shit, and because like that is the most complex map to navigate, and it takes a fucking while to get through all those floors.
Because it's a different game's final dungeon.
Gotcha. And when you look out the windows, you're looking at SMT4. You know. Well,
no, you're looking at Etrian Odyssey. Untold.
Oh, is it also like Fallen Shinjuku City?
Yes.
I see. Gotcha. Okay.
This is what I mean. Like, they literally cannot help themselves.
Okay.
Like, Atlas, Atlas believes there will be a nuclear holocaust and that demons will happen.
Okay. Yeah. I like, but it's also that like we're gonna give you the nods and we're gonna give you the things, and you're like, okay, that's cool. You're gonna summon fucking Jack Frost. I'm like, oh, there he is. Yeah.
Hey man, hey.
Yeah. So that's all fun.
I see him.
But I do feel that like the way this played out too is that it feels like this is the start of a new franchise though. Like this feels like I didn't get the feeling of this being a one-off. I felt like this is going to be a revisited thing, and mean
at the end, they literally ride off into the sunset to
fantasy lives on. Yeah.
And then they say, hey, what about that other country that you're going to across the sea? Are we ever going to go there? Maybe one day.
I mean, the motivations are they're very reasonable. It's like, yeah, the world did not see you kill the monster. They just saw you win. So you should probably go actually inspire them or at least meet them so that you're not a faceless king, you know?
I think there's something amazing that this game does, and Final Fantasy 16 also does. Where it's like these cataclysmic world-altering events are actually taking place in somewhat isolated continents of a larger world that doesn't know what's going on.
Well, this whole game deals with one election. it's one election of one country, you know? You have to imagine the Canada of this world just looking down and being like, what the fuck is going on in November? What? Like,
hey, we got guys looking at the country with the telescopes, and they got flying cities and shit over there. What do you think's going on over there?
In November 4th, I see a giant face floating over America. Like, we're like, what are you guys up to? Like, okay, I'm going back to bed. This is crazy. You know, it's one nation. It's simply one place. Yeah. I love, because, okay, I don't know how quickly you pieced it together, but I mean, obviously more is fucking Hydolatheus.
Right?
Like, yeah, it's like that much I'm like, just look at him. Look at his hair. Look at yes, that is the most obvious bit.
That's not even it. That's not even like it. It's that like Thomas More wrote Utopia, and Hythlodaeus is the fucking king in Utopia.
Okay.
So it's like it's even more obvious on top of that.
Didn't catch that reference. Okay.
And there's a character named Hythlodaeus in Final Fantasy 14.
Oh yeah,
which also has to do with Utopia.
Interesting. Okay,
it's a metaphor.
I didn't catch the sources on those name references. Interesting. I like that. You deliberately, obviously, don't spend too much time with the king or so, because you need to make sure that these twists, quote unquote, as obvious as they're going to be, make sense. The one with the prince, the moment they're like, you should pretend to be him, I'm like, all right, that's it. You're not even trying anymore, game. But
come on.
But the whole bit where it's like okay, so just in the same way that the prince is like that Will is the second the magical cast off, the mirror double. You have More, who is like the mirror double of the king, but More is from his fucking hipster days when he was a young beatnik.
This is what I look like when I fucked your mom.
Yeah. And so it's like, oh, this is the one who was rizzed up.
I was killing it, man. I was killing it.
Right? He pulled up Motorcycle Diaries. He pulled up and he fucking swooned the Elden Princess, and he jumped in the libraries and he was like, talking all that world revolution. We gotta fight. We gotta change things. You know, like he was so full of piss and vinegar, and he still got the beret on sideways. I'm like, of course, it's not the old king with the fucking.
Yeah, this is my idealized self. This is my best me.
Yeah. That Moore is the one who fucking laid the pipe down.
It is wild to me. It's like, man, okay, so wow, Forden was behind everything. That I was like legitimately shocked that he was behind every part of every problem.
He was involved in each step, yes.
Like all these different threads always get back to a cutscene where he's like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, and that is extra impactful because the game opens on Luis stabbing King in the chest. The first thing you see is die, old man.
Yeah,
fucking
but then
die.
On top of that, I love that we got like one of my favorite parts of the ending into the final thing is you get to see, hey, Forden's dead, and we've established that he was behind it all, right? Mm-hmm. But like they keep saying but the king could have like stopped him at any time, right? And so you get to actually see cutscenes of Forden being like, "Yo, so I'm gonna just take political power away from you," and Hythlodaeus is like, "Fucking, I don't even care, man. Do whatever."
Yeah.
It's totally your fault. The whole thing is 100% your fault.
But it's interesting because like he in the same way, he's very much like Luis, and that's why that moment where he saves you and he's like, nah, just give up, dude. He's coming from the same place because he's looking at it like both Luis and Hythlodaeus are looking at it like revenge is pointless because the system is broken. And like, yeah, I can fucking solve my own grief, but that's not the problem here. I want to fix it at a larger, more macro zoomed out scale. So
the word fix is doing some very heavy lifting.
Yeah. So that's it. So it's like in the same way that it's like, yeah, Luis could go kill all the people that burnt down the village, but what the fuck does that accomplish? You know, same thing where Hythlodaeus is like, yeah, it's the mind, you know? And so I'm going to force democracy as a system upon my death is a pretty interesting premise and setup like bit. I didn't know that was a part of the game at all, you know? So like that was probably the biggest like twist that I was like, oh shit, there's a death game thing happening here, you know? Side note, when the King's Magic is protecting all the entrants and you're high up in the ranks, does it ever it never applies to you, the protagonist, as a player, because you are consensually fighting with every enemy that you're encountering.
No, it does. There is 2 instances. That shithead with the dog attacks you.
Yes.
And dies.
Yes.
Like dies.
Bladel.
And,
yeah.
The boss fight that you have with the monk in the very beginning, Godot.
Yeah.
Where if you attack him, you just die.
Okay, yeah. So I never
can't attack him.
So I never attacked him in that one. Okay, that was part of the system. But I was wondering, I was like, in gameplay, did they was there ever a moment where anyone attacking you?
They do a lot to make it so that once you've hit a certain ranking, that this situations is kind of unlikely to come up.
Yeah, okay. Because that's my whole. I'm like, when you're high ranking and running through a dungeon, why can anything even touch you? You know?
Oh, people point out in the opera house, and you're going through the opera house. They will only target you.
Yes, for sure.
Because they can't target you because they'll die.
But like, I guess up until that point, nothing else that you're fighting counts, I suppose.
No. Well, you're fighting you're fighting humans or animals
or other bits,
people that you engaged in a duel with on equal terms.
Congrats to Atlas for creating another Nanako that's pure and awesome.
And she's so good. And the archetype she gives you and the bonuses she gives you are the best in the whole game.
Cooking. I mean, what?
Speed cooking and flat experience bonuses? Sorry, percentile experience bonuses? Yes, please.
Also, I'm gonna just go make infinite MP heals now and the game is now a joke because I'll do my best saves.
The items I brought into the final dungeon, I looked at them and I'm like, there's nothing that can stop.
There's nothing.
Like,
there's
even if I
literally
didn't break my characters, I'm like, I built myself like 50 somas. Like, who can stop this?
Yeah. So no, Maria, amazing Nanako too. Good job, nailed it, perfect, awesome.
And you get to hang out with her mom sometimes when you go down there.
You sure do, and she's all right. I will, and to that end, I was like, I hope, because I'm like, surely there will be a moment when you're doing the final attack and you have to think of all your bods, right? And it's like, not exactly, but I was waiting to have that one where you go through all of them and then the last one is going to be Grius, you know, but where there's no big kind of like Grius moment. I was hoping for a real Grius moment right before, you know.
The only thing that you get there is that in the final battle you have one of every single race on your team except for I forget the name, but Grius's race.
Parapus?
He should have been there.
No, he's a Parapus. He's a Parapus.
No, Grius is not a Parapus. He's one of the older guys. He's a rogue. Grius is a rogue.
Oh shit. Okay.
So it's like, it should have been everybody.
Right, okay.
But he didn't get to be there.
He represents them. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, and then, I mean, it's a little thing, but I was waiting because they give you Grius's memento in your inventory, and like looking at that every time I'm scrolling through my items, I'm like, they're gonna do something, you know. But yeah, they didn't really but I mean, they talk about him enough, you know, like they talk about Alcest throughout the dialogue, and you know. But yeah, excellent, absolutely fucking excellent.
Like, all nitpicks are nitpicks. They are very minor. Like, oh, this could have been like, and also this game really doesn't feel like it needs a royal treatment.
No, it doesn't at all.
It really doesn't feel that way at all. It feels totally complete.
Yeah, no. I mean, I heard that there's a New Game Plus dragon or something like that.
New Game Plus is not worth playing.
It's a million years long, so I'm sure.
You can. But
there's one boss
game, and you can
apparently
increase the difficulty as much as you want.
Yeah.
But for people like us who did that to the game on normal, you can't make that game system hit you hard enough. Because you've broken it.
Yeah, I went up to
you've broken the rules.
Doing the Dragon Towers, I picked the hardest one first, it seems, and like the fairy is like, "Why would you pick this one first?" In the dialogue,
that's an Etrian Odyssey character, like straight up.
Oh no shit! Really?
Yeah. Chat told me, but yeah, no, that's straight up a character from Etrian Odyssey.
That's cool. Okay.
That's kind of why she talks like she's not concurrent to the location that you're in.
Well, yeah, she's throwing out her these, thys, and thous, but she's also going, "You fucking scrub." you know?
Bitch ass.
Speaking of that, though, did you catch the hilarious moment where the prince wakes up and Will's voice for like 3 lines has a British accent?
There's a clip of me blowing out my microphone, just screaming like, no!
He tries for 3 lines and then immediately gives up. Like the next scene, the camera cuts.
So funny.
He was so British for just a second, and it makes sense, you know, given the world and everything. And then the voice actor just went, nah.
His body correctly.
And then, lo and behold, right? Why does Moore sound American, but Hythlodaeus sounds British? You know. Yeah. And so when they come together, there's that moment where like Moore towards the end starts getting a little more British. But no, they throw it away too. And so it's like when your mind is wiped, when you're a Brit and your mind is wiped, you become American.
I mean, obviously.
That's so fucking crazy. Your default settings for English are just American. Incredible. Absolutely incredible that they tried and gave up within the same scene twice with 2 different characters. What a fucking game.
What a great game.
The first video game to get on that bathwater juice while the memes are hot, right? Striking while...
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, you're right.
There's a mission where it's like, hey, go
bathwater quest.
Go take a fucking Steve. Go take a dip, Prince. It'll be awesome. Sell me your bathwater.
Okay, I'm gonna do it.
I'm like, when did this game get written? Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they knew. I'm not gonna for a second believe they didn't know.
She lost like crazy dollars on that.
I believe it.
Because she was like running afoul of some kind of food safety thing, and so for every like bottle she sold, the fine was more than what she was selling it for.
Oh man!
So she like lost a bundle on it.
Oh my god! Yeah. No, just seeing that mission pop up right there, in the last bits, I'm like, yeah, okay, perfect. Did you So yeah, I guess when you said you ran out of things to do, I guess you would hit up the Coliseum.
I had done literally everything.
Okay.
Had, I want to say like 13 days to go.
Okay.
And so I went to bed for 12 days.
Even like the optional storytellings and
all of it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Absolutely all of it.
Interesting. So I guess if you So if you spend not only if you single day every dungeon, but if you farm to like insane strength.
So you remember the bottom of the Shinjuku dungeon?
Mm-hmm.
You remember how there were 3 auto spawners in one room?
Yep.
Yeah, you
just sit there. Okay.
You can put a podcast on and really fuck that game's difficulty curve up.
So I did a little of that grinding, but I stopped when I got bored. I stopped when I kind of went, okay, I'm done. I
luckily I have a brain that can just ignore boredom if it's repetitive enough.
Fair enough.
I play Monster Hunter games. Oh.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
This is not what I expected Persona 6 to be, but it's fucking phenomenal. And
I think we still have a Persona 6.
Of course we do. We do. I'm being cheeky. But in terms of like the last time we talked about those games, and it's like, okay, you've got again the personal growth, and then P5 you've got the society and like the nail that stands out, and then harmonizing with the group. And this time around, I'm like, okay, Atlas, you're getting a little more comfortable.
Yeah,
you're getting a little more comfortable standing up and talking your shit.
It feels like Metaphor was written taking in mind complaints about Persona 5.
Right.
Because Persona 5, I think a lot of like, particularly like Western opinion on that story was, guys, we have to change society at a fundamental level by integrating ourselves correctly into society and defeating those who don't integrate correctly into society, which is like the opposite of its stated thesis. And Metaphor at the very least goes, I would like to change society for the better. That's hard though. It's going to be hard though.
Yes, man. And I kept thinking of, I remember from years ago when you were mentioning the that bit about like different schools of thought and like the I think it was like therapy in a Japanese context.
Oh yeah, often, Eastern versus Western context is change yourself to fit the world or change the world to fit yourself.
Yeah, right. And that bit where it's like, oh, we'll turn inside to you and see what you're doing wrong and how you can better fit into, the tapestry. And so like, yeah, a lot of that, I was thinking of that while going through this, and I was like, no, this game is definitely swerving back the other way from where P5 with the whole like, no, fit in though, society's fine. This is like going like, no, there's shit that should change, and it's okay to call that out, and it's okay to want to work on improving that. Don't expect it to happen overnight. Recognize that lady on fucking Sun
Oh,
Lin
that
Leo
piece of shit
road.
on Main Street.
That
Oh my
Main
God,
Street
Grand
piece of
Trad.
shit.
Oh, I love her.
Even after you have handed her the world, and she's like, I guess, you elder piece of shit, what does the world come to?
Don't touch me.
You know, and you're like, what the fuck? Yes, right? She is a part of the world too. And that you need to, and you have to acknowledge that she's going to be standing there no matter what you do going, what the fuck is that gross elder prince up to today? You know, while you breathe air and continue to live.
And everyone around her is like, I don't know, lady. Society has definitely been a little bit better than it has under Thithlodeus. Fucking elder.
Yeah. The also that the whole bit with yeah, like there were moments where this game, like, my eyebrow raised with the whole Orochimaru extreme forgiveness any percent clear. You know, I was like, and like Martyra cleared that for me. The whole you know, Martyra quest line was like, okay, no, we're good.
I really loved the naivete of the party kind of being put on display, where she's executed on the spot, and and people are like, what did you fucking think was gonna happen
here?
She just admitted to like slaughtering an entire town's worth of children, feeding
children to monster. Like, it's the most horrendous thing you can. It doesn't, she's being nice and contrite though, like, no, get the fuck, that's crazy. But then there's those bits where, like, the Alonzo quest, right, where it's like, oh, that feels bad for the piece of shit that fucking was orchestrating it here, you know. And he pulls his twists, and he you know, he pulls it off.
I totally died.
Yeah, he pulls it off, and it works, but it's still like on the way there. It's like, your poor mom, man. You know.
Yeah, your mom's dead.
Your poor fucking mom, dude. You know.
Fucked up.
Not great. I like that the non-party members, you know, like people with the portraits that pop up each time you talk to Brigitte for the first time. I'm like, who the fuck is that? What are you about? And she's like, I'm an arms dealer, and if you say generic RPG answers to me, I hate you for them. You get no mag for talking basic shit to me. You better say what you mean. Also, if you tell anyone about my puppy, I'll fucking murder you. I'm like, okay. Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Also, most of the remaining quest is going to talk about how much I hate being part of the war economy, but also I'm going to use the war economy to genocide everybody who touched my dog.
Right. Yeah, Drebin. She's Drebin. 100%, right?
I'm going to get him.
I'm really surprised. So I'm really surprised that Edini wasn't anything there. I really thought he would be, because yeah, back when you were asking, well, I mean, we touched on it last time, where it's like Yufa joins the party, Edini doesn't, but Edini fucking looks like his grown Naruto ass is gonna join your party.
Yeah, well, he's gonna be the king of Etria,
right?
And he's gonna invent Etrian Odyssey.
Easy on the eyes, that one.
He's gonna do a bad job setting up a history program for their local school, because by the time you get to fucking Etrian Odyssey, ain't nobody knows what's down in that dragon dungeon.
Another British haircut character too. I wonder. I mean, I think suffice to say that, well, Etrian Odyssey is a different team, right? And then they teamed up with Persona Q to make those over. Yeah. Because like every other like one of those references were all like, this is our shit, but like that's from a different one in particular.
But it's still Atlas.
Yeah. Batlin's great. Batlin's great. What a good crier. He's fun from the jump, but I didn't expect him to be anything but just a really cool voice. Turns out he's fucking, you know, a solid.
I love him.
Yelling at the crowd toward the, like, all the way through to the end. Like, that's a real one. Yeah, no, everyone that you just kind of chill with. Whatchamacallit, Martyra dude, Barden. Am I getting that right? No. Anyway,
yeah, Barden, man.
Barden. Yeah, even him, where it's just like, that crazy fucking baby murdering shit was so insane that I am gonna overcompensate on security.
I feel
super understandable.
people in my chat were too hard on Barden.
Nah, dude.
Because like you get to like rank 7 and 8 and you're like, he's like, I am creating a fascist police state for everyone's benefit.
Yeah.
So obvious it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But you've been like months removed from like, well, what drove him to this? So that shit it happened right under his nose.
Do you remember the baby conveyor belt crushing machine that was happening right under his watch? You know? So no, I completely got that. And like the fact that multiple times in his quest line, you, the protagonist, gets to be like, yo, dude, chill. And he's like, ah, you know, I'm like, no. I completely understand. That overreaction is what happens when you are getting over the fact that a baby crushing machine has just been discovered in your city. You know,
especially since you were the safety inspector for the baby crushing machine.
God, yeah. That's it. You know.
Oh yeah, that game's great.
It's fucking great, and
it's great.
I can't wait to recommend it, like with a million fucking disclaimers, because it's like, this is a game you might never finish with your normal time as an adult, but give it a shot.
There's 2 disclaimers, right? It's like, it's long, and you can't drop it for a while and come back. Like you have when you drop it, you have like a 2-week countdown before you come back, and the archetype system just goes in your brain.
Yeah. You need to stare at that archetype system when you come back for a while, for sure. What I will say is, if I were playing this, you know, pre YouTube and on my own time, I would play until I hit a Luis plot point, and then get hooked back in. And then, that's your trajectory slinger, is every time you have a Luis date coming up, you know? So,
with Luis, if only.
I mean, I would not be surprised if they speed ran a 8-tier relationship with Luis right before the end, you know? Like, I'm ready for anything like that. Like, the villain gets his own relationship with you to discuss the difference in your philosophies. I'm down. You know, why the fuck not?
I feel like Lewis is too much of a transparent psychopath for that to work.
But
like, too many of those conversations would just be like, I think we should stop using orphans for airship fuel, and then his response would be like, then how am I gonna get across town in time for my meeting?
But okay, that whole thing where he's like such a really convincing sociopath, right? Like, and then I was talking about it last time. You find out here that it's like, that wasn't just from birth, that's self-imposed from trauma, because PTSD turned you into that, right? He decided to become that person because fuck other people and fuck other things. I have my ideals and just me, and that's it. You know, it's a self-imposed sociopathy.
At the same time, like, he is given like maybe 50 different opportunities from every single character that ever talks to him to walk it back even a little bit. Right up until the moment of his death. He's like, no. This is how I want to do it.
Right.
Full speed ahead.
How about fucking walking through town and seeing all of his best generals being like, yeah, I got off the ship. You know, like, at some point you're like, yeah, no, the only ones that stayed are all just monsters now. You know,
it's like a character that is standing there going, I have reached the apex of my personal growth. I don't need to grow anymore. And how do I know that? Because you can't beat me up.
Right. Yeah.
Like, if I needed to have more personal growth, I wouldn't have survived this ridiculous assassination attempt, would I?
You can't touch Griffith, so you're wrong, and he's right. It's that simple. And then you go from Lucifer form into, you know, the human, the shattered mask, you know, and then of course cutscene only. The king archetype, you know. I mean, I was wondering if we were gonna do a Luciferio, not Luciferio. What was it called? Luciferius, I believe. P5, you know, fucking Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, you know.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, it's the whole airship, so you're fucking huge.
Yeah.
In that cutscene,
but
it's not clear because you're in the sky and there's no.
Sataniel, excuse me, Sataniel. Yeah, that's the one. But you know, you get the point. You get the point.
He's not Lucifer, though.
No.
Wink.
No. Okay. That's just about all of it. There it is.
It's such a good game.
Such a good game. Go play it and fucking mark your real calendar off.
Well, you can't recommend people play it inside the part of the podcast that's the spoiler cast.
No, I suppose not. That doesn't make any sense. I'm glad you played it then. How about that? All right, let's take a break. All right. Spoilers over.
Spoilers are over. Promise.
What else happened this week? So, for me, I played a little bit more Cyberpunk.
Yes.
And I got to some pretty cool missions. There were a number of nice missions. Like, it was one of those ones where like I got a bunch of calls in a row and playing them, and I watched as people popped off one after the other for each call. I was like, hey V, call me back, some cool shit over here, and everyone's like, oh shit. And yeah, you know what, I'll talk about it in this order because this is actually going to be relevant for the next subject. But I played Dream On, which was like the super creepy couple that you're basically waiting for them to hand you a Superman suit.
Okay.
You know, or waiting for the husband to put on the Superman suit, actually. You know.
Oh, I see.
And that was a pretty solid one. Just good bit where you kind of know, like, there's no solving this in any way that's gonna make anyone feel good, but that
it'll probably make one person feel good.
Well, unfortunately or unfortunately, the quest does not go that way, but it sure did feel like it was. And yeah, no, it turned out to be way more fucked up than that, right? In the end, it was Night.
Oh, goody!
In the end, it was Night City. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Where you?
Nope, no idea.
Oh shit! Okay. Basically, you meet up with this couple, and they're like politicians, and you know there's a whole like mayor assassination plot going on, and you're trying. It's the one that introduces you to the cool buddy cop that you also hang out with for the hunt. And anyway, it you know, long story short is just this sequence of discovering Manchurian Candidate style programming being a thing that you can do remotely to just remotely wipe and program people's minds, and in this case politicians who you want to elect. You know,
cool.
It's one thing to have them be corrupt and on your side and be in your pocket. It's another to literally just program them to be the person that is in your pocket, you know?
Oh, okay.
And yeah, proper horrors that come with that. And then the other two, there was The Hunt, which is so far my favorite side quest in the game. You basically, the Cyberpunk turns into 7 for like 20 minutes, where you use brain dances to like try to figure out you find like there's a killer, and you got to figure out like what's going on with them from childhood, where the trauma happened, what created the monster, and then you fast forward further in time to like what they're up to now. Where is Buffalo Bill's house? Where is the well? Where are the people? Where is the victims being kept? And you gotta track it all down to like to the most recent, like, here is the victims crawling out from the barn, go get there, and like you pull up, and it's the whole thing is just a really awesome, tense, plays out very much like a detective thriller / buddy cop movie, as you're trying to track down his nephew, who's like fallen into this killer's hands. But the way that it's done is you're reading through a series of emails of basically him getting like groomed online and like pulled away slowly. So it's proper slime, it's a really, really good tense quest, as you're like it feels very against the clock, though. I don't know. I mean, you never know how it always, like, sometimes that clock is hyper scripted, sometimes it's not. But in this case, I really, really enjoyed how that played out, and it reminded me of any one of those movies where you're like, okay, call the cops, but they're not going to get there in time. And let's break in, and like, are you gonna find the Yellow King midway walking into the cave, or are you just gonna find more bones? What do you like? What phase of is this Act 2 or Act 3?
Is it the King in Yellow? Like themed, or are you just referring to True Detective?
I'm just referring to True Detective, right? I'm referring to,
because I fucking you tell me something's got King in Yellow shit, in it. I'm fucking there.
No, it's more along the lines of like anytime you have spent the movie piecing together the serial killer's clues, you know, and you eventually get the final one that is like, we got his location and we know where the victims are being kept. If we get there fast enough, we can possibly save their lives, you know. Just a little bit of that energy. It was really, really good. And then the big one that had a lot of groundswell is Sinnerman. Have you?
I know about Sinnerman.
You heard about Sinnerman?
People talk a lot about Sinnerman.
People talk a lot about Sinnerman, and
because that is real interesting.
And I think it took a second for me to like. I'm like, why are people popping off so hard about me playing this quest? And it was like, oh, because when we first played Binding of Isaac, and I had that reaction to the intro. That is something.
Yeah, Binding of Isaac attacked you. So
that had a certain energy to it, which in this case, let's see if that gets revisited. And here's what I'll say is that the proposition, like the thought that the quest brings out is very interesting. I think the what it poses in terms of like the context of religion in Night City, right, is something that there's a discussion there.
Is even religion safe from Night City's human dysmorphic society? No, it's not.
I was certainly having none of it. I mean, the character you meet gives you very little to lean into deliberately, and makes a proper repulsive dude. And I think the one thing I heard from people is that like you can just like blow them away on the walk up to the quest and like end it there, but like for the most part, once you're on the ride, you're kind of just locked into the ride, you know. Here and by the end of it, I guess I was kind of like, I wish it wasn't so on rails while bringing this discussion up, right? Mm-hmm. In some ways, Sinnerman is like a Serbian film. Let it sit. Let it sit. Okay.
I wish my dog was here.
Okay. I know. So when the government is so thoroughly corrupt that your death can be as commodified as your life, you have to question what the fuck is faith, what is ethics, what's morality, what does all that mean? What's the point? What kind of life can you live in a world where beginning to ending, every aspect of it can be packaged and sold? Right? In this particular case,
I don't know, man, who I'm talking to weekly to describe every part of our lives for financial gain. I just don't know.
Right?
Because sometimes I eat cookies and then I play with my baby, and that seems pretty good.
Yeah. And and that bit where it's like, okay, the most horrendous parts of a Serbian film are to be filmed and sold to the highest bidders who want that premium entertainment, right? That primo, those BDs with the real feelings. Gotta get the real feelings. He believes his bullshit, and that's why this recording is worth so much, you know? The more
Which actually makes perfect sense.
The more diluted, the better, right? Very, very interesting. I wish that once the quest started, that you weren't just on rails and then out, because it feels as if like you don't fully get the ability to chew on that concept because you kind of have to play it out in like either you get off the ride or you go where it's taking you kind of way. And I think as well, I know I've seen like some feedback where some people that are like, people that currently still have faith are very shook by that quest. It's kind of like, you know, hitting Ava and hitting your first JRPG biblical analogy, going, oh my god, the blasphemy, this is crazy, right? It takes it really far because it's a fucking horrendous character, and you can
blaspheme pretty hard in a cyberpunk scenario.
And you have that mother who is in you have that mother of the victim who's like horrified at the entire thing and the fact that it's like stretching it out in this way, and she has a very real get the fuck away from me. But all in all, I think like what I was like, what I was hoping for is that, like, you know, that KOTOR moment of like, yes, no, yes, lie, right? And like, you can, like, the version of that, I guess, is it's the like, don't release the tape or so. But like, I wish there was more to all of that. Once you were kind of locked into the studio and that sequence kind of played out the way it did, and then you kind of walked out, I was like, yeah, that dude's pretty reprehensible. I don't really feel two ways about that. I feel like the reflection on Night City says obviously a lot, but in terms of the actions of the quest and the crucifixion and all that playing out, it's kind of like, yeah, fuck this guy, who cares? Like, inhale, exhale, take your next breath, keep moving. What are we doing here? You know? That's kind of where I landed on it, you know? But it obviously had a very lasting impact for many, and I think more for the implications of what it says about the world, perhaps more than the like the blasphemy aspects of it. But yeah, that's the takeaway I kind of had with it.
Most of what I hear from people talking about Cinderman is just abject shock at the events that take place.
Yeah,
it's fairly extreme.
Yeah, I didn't find that to be shocking. I kind of just, it's like you're on the ride with a horrible person, and the commodification of his death, and yeah, like that, yeah, sort of. But again, like I think that there's I think that could have been played out in a way where, again, you could have branched it more. There could have been more options. It could have been a little less locked into the path. You know, I don't know what to say. And I know that, anyway, whatever. Like, some people, I've seen some people that are just like, it was boring, I hated it. I've seen some people be like, it was the best quest in the game. But regardless, that's how I feel about it. What was quite kind of interesting, though, is in the next game, 1,000 Times Resist.
Yes.
It's interesting how, like, hitting some of those moments and getting at some of what Cinderman was actually touching on in a completely different context, but 1,000 Times Resist, which I've beaten now, which is just a walk and talk game, engages with its point more and allows more it allows you time to chew on, and it allows you freedom to examine some of what it's getting at with this same kind of thing we were just talking about. The end of 1,000 Times Resist did more of what I was kind of looking for out of this kind of discussion, you know? So I'm not going to spoil 1,000 Times Resist, but I will say that
that is a narrative fucking game. So.
Yes, the whole thing is the experience of going through it the first time and a second time for details. But in conclusion, now that we're done, and it turned, yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. It was a longer game than I thought. It's very good. It's really well written, and there's a lot of interesting things being said about the subject matter, which is the parental cycle of trauma. And
oh yes, generational trauma. There's a lot of that going around.
Yep. What you pass on, what you developed in, and what you push forward to the future. There's a lot of ways to examine that subject. This does a really, really good job of it. In particular, a differentiation between the what is internalized automatically from the moment you're born that you have no chance to avoid or separate from yourself, right? Like, even despite your best efforts, like if you were born in Blighttown, when you approach anybody, they're gonna get a toxic bar that's going up, right? Like, it's just, you're like, yeah, sorry, I was born in Blighttown,
What do you want from me, man?
What I will say is that it is a slow burn. The first moments of the game, like the first 5%, start very strong.
Okay.
From about 5 to like 40%, the pacing slows down and gets bad.
Oh yeah.
And it's some and the thing is, it's mainly discussing you're meeting characters, you're talking, and you're moving forward in it. So you're just walking through a large garden area, and you're meeting more characters, and you're developing the world. But it unfortunately, in this kind of middle part, it slows down in a way that I was not enjoying as much. And there are definitely, like, there's enough going there with the characters that, especially the ones that you're meeting and that you like, and the mystery is there's always a what the fuck is going on. There's a strong.
Yeah, but how long are you just stuck in the what the fuck is going on state?
So you get reveals of answers to that, but those moments where something might like reveal a whole bunch and then empty its hand and then pick up a new hand, and you go, well, what's in that new hand, right?
I don't know.
This game doesn't do that. This game will reveal one card and then like still hold the rest, and then reveal one at a time while picking up new ones as you go. It never wants to show the whole hand. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. What I will say is moments that have that last with me that I remember strongly are the ones where there's a huge like info dump and then recontextualization of events. And those happen here, but while they're happening, new obtuseness is being introduced at the same time, is I guess the best way to describe it.
I see.
Now, around the 40% mark, that shit gets really solid, right?
Oh yeah.
So there's a moment where we were kind of talking about how you get Nier Automata, and if you start playthrough B and you're like, oh, it's the same game, there might be a bit of a feeling of like, oh, well, like, I guess is it just the same thing again?
It's a little bit different here. There's a little bit different there, but it's not really like.
But one of the main things is in Automata, if you love the combat can carry you forward through that second very similar playthrough until you start hitting playthrough C, D, and E, and then shit goes crazy,
And then,
But here, you're not getting that gameplay. It's just talking to people. So when those pacing moments dip, that you feel them really brutally, right? That solidness that picks up around the 40% mark carries all the way through. And I would say when you get to the finale, that last 90 to 100, it's excellent. The finale is fantastic.
So how much would you describe in the game's total runtime is like push through time?
About half of it.
That's rough, man. That's a lot.
The thing is there's an asterisk there, which is if you love some of these characters a lot and are charmed by them, the gravity of that will pull you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it depends on how much you like the cast. I will say that if you're digging them, like I was digging the cast, I wasn't super locked in until much, much later. I was digging the cast, and that made the pacing feel the way it did. And then, getting full reveals, understanding motivations, getting the multiple angles of what they're about and why they're doing what they do makes me go, oh fuck, okay, I'm really interested in finding out more about where this is going and why and what's happening here. But overall, it's a short. For being longer than I thought, it's still a pretty short game and worth experiencing. Just know that you're playing a visual novel with walking in between, and yeah, you're gonna. That push through moment or phase of it really depends on if you love the characters you're seeing and you're just like, I just want to know more and I'm all in on them, then you won't feel that. But if you are like me, then you do feel like the weight of like, all right, now we got to hit this other side of the garden. Okay, let's go through this sequence.
How long is the game?
I mean, it's 10 chapters, and I think if you're not let's playing it, and doing fucking Inception episodes, probably like 10 hours, maybe.
Okay, that changes the context, because I know you've been playing it for a while.
Yeah, and there were certainly 13 Sentinels moments of like going and watching myself play it to piece together the timeline and what's happening. But if you way faster if you don't care about talking to everybody and seeing everything and like fully doing it. But if you're just beelining for objectives, you can do it much faster, certainly. But yeah, still very good. In particular, the closing chapters of that game, it drops its thesis statement and then asks you some real shit about in that cycle of trauma that that gets passed on from generation to generation, like you choosing that you want to somehow stop that and like or improve it or be better than it or do whatever the case. What do you choose? What what do you choose to keep? What do you choose to release? Is there anything to gain from even the shit that like bothers you the most?
I gotta tell you, as somebody with a baby man and who may or may not have some generational trauma, the vast majority of it is like, hey, yeah, I'm not gonna do that one.
Yeah.
That's like 99%. It's like, hey, that was the wrong call. Not that one.
Yeah. There's the part that resonates the most with me is there's I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll talk about this at some point or I won't, but one of the tattoos I'm planning to get is something that is basically like emblematic of there's shit from my childhood that I absolutely hate, that drives me crazy and pisses me off and is always going to feel immensely negative inside of me. But undeniably, if I ignore it and pretend it didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am. So
right.
There's shit.
I think about shit like that all the time.
Yeah. And it's not religion. I know the obvious thing is to go, well, he talks about religion. It's not religion. I'm not talking about that.
I think about that shit all the time. And it's do you remember, this is such a strange poll, you remember Laganhen?
Mm-hmm.
You remember right in the big bombastic, super robot thing, Viral yells out, "I'm glad for the events that brought me here."
Yeah.
I think about that a lot because, you'll daydream about like, well, what if I could go back in time and do things differently? I'm like, the sequence of events that brought me to here as I am now are really specific.
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever be able to get to this good spot if I was trying to do it on purpose.
Yeah. It's really weird, but it's infinitely interesting to just think about that you know, and it's something that I feel like is like, oh yeah, that's a forever. I'm processing that one somewhere in my mind at all times, you know, indefinitely. It's there's a moment like there's something like that happens in Vagabond that is my favorite moment of my favorite manga. That is why I'm so in love with that story. That is exactly this subject, right? It is like a moment where the character, where Musashi takes the worst shit he's been through and like figures out how to use part of that to better what he is now, and then acknowledge that part that existed and then try not to be haunted by it, you know? It's that resonates very strongly for me. And with that backstory bias, this game basically goes into a really fucking awesome discussion about exactly that. Let's look at everything on the table that you are and go, what does it mean to push this forward to the next generation? What does it mean to get rid of it, you know? Imagine your Nier Automata, like the data, you know what I mean, that gets sent out and type of thing. Like, okay, we're collecting all the experiences, but what if we audited that for posterity? What does the auditing process look like? It was fucking great, you know? So that to me makes the ending of the game absolutely stellar and worth recommending. And I say this with heavy fucking bias towards that subject matter.
Right. Well, honestly, I find it fascinating when you deal with like you know, any type of thoughtful narrative that's dealing with a totally how do I want to phrase this? A form of social experience that you are genuinely, completely, totally unfamiliar with, to the point of having difficulty rendering empathy because you don't even know enough about it to know what to feel where.
Oh yeah, I mean, do you or anyone you know have family members that were in the Hong Kong 2019 umbrella protests? Probably not.
I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go with no on that one.
You know, so let's take a minute to learn a thing or two about that as a jumping off point and then push forward in time, you know? Deeply deeply personal experience for the creator of this game, for sure, you know? But yeah, 1,000 Times Resist. In the end, that's what all the stink is about, and it's very well written. Really enjoyed that. So that is what we pretty much did on the channel. This took a quick look at the Rage of the Dragons Steam re-release and the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Children of the Atom, God bless that animation. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. I love it every time. It's one of the weird cases of like the sequels had the animation get worse over time because there were more characters, but the first of those fighting games, the X-Men Children of the Atom game,
it was really strange. The whole versus series where every versus game looked kind of worse than
as
the last
time went
one.
On, except for the new characters in Marvel 2. Yeah, everyone lost
but Marvel
frames.
2 has like a bunch of characters that just look like trash.
There's Mugen frames standing still, you know. But yeah, we took a look at some of those, so those are going to be coming out this week. On Saturday, we're going to be taking a look at Iron Saga Versus. That's a sponsored stream. It's a mecha fighting game. You're going to get your Mazinger Z. You're going to get your Getter Robo. You're going to get all your favorites coming together.
And you like robots, so this is a good fit.
I am a fan of the mechanical humanoid, especially the large ones. I like getting into them. And I like when the life rings start revolving. So come check out Iron Saga Versus. We're gonna yuck it up in that for a bit. Thank you to the team for providing. And beyond that, go check out. I got a little plushie campaign going.
Oh, I saw.
Yes, makeship.com/petitions/wolves-in-the-lab. If you want to get a little Wolves plush, there's a little Wolves with a little arcade stick. That's also going to be plush. It'd be super sick if it was a real one. But if you want to get one, fortunately it's been the amount has been pledged and it immediately hit that amount right away. So it's happening. If you want to get one, go head over there and I
should get one for goofs.
Get one so that Boost can chew the fuck out of it.
Oh, he doesn't do that.
Oh, okay.
The only thing he does is he sucks blankets.
Okay.
Everything about that dog is like sad, cute, pathetic. It's like, oh, does he chew bones? No, he just sits on his blanket, goes.
All right, fair enough. At the very least, you can toss me across the room and keep the stick on its own if you'd like.
I think I would probably just bring you up to talk to you as a prop.
I think I hate that one the most, actually.
Yeah, okay. Pledge $2 today.
I think I hate that outcome more than any others.
Pre-order.
That's not a fun bit.
Oh, yeah, express checkout with PayPal. Fuck yeah.
I don't like how this is turned.
Oh, thanks for reminding me.
I think I dislike this more than people talking about jars.
Oh, come on. That's not even upsetting anymore.
Well, it's not even practical, really.
I mean, practicality was never the goal.
Like, what about moisture evaporation? You know? What about loss over time? What about aerialization or airing? Anyway, I just I don't know that a jar would do anyone any good in this context. Look, you can go check out the little plushie if you'd like, and I'm not going to tell you what to do with it. You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
That never really happened, right?
Thank you for making a pledge to bring this product to life.
Did that ever?
Your pledge helps this creator know that they're on the right track.
Was that
real? Their community wants this character to come to life.
Was that real? Was it real? Was that ever real?
The jar shit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's real a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Wait, hold on. Let's back up because there's Are you talking about one man, one jar?
No, I'm talking about MLP jar.
Because I saw that.
No. I'm talking about
that was real.
I've seen that. That was real. I'm talking about MLP jar.
Oh yeah, no, people do that all the time. That's absolutely. You can go ask Justin Wang about that. He does documentaries on the jars. He's the jar master.
Okay, got it.
In fact, I think he's done documentaries on both the jars we're talking about.
Okay. See, this is one of those bits where it's like, the internet osmosis brought the energy, but I didn't know if it actually was a thing
Justin
that happens.
Wang jar.
Does anything wholesome?
There's Jar Man. There's the pony jar update. There's an update.
Nothing wholesome on the internet has ever involved a jar.
He has an interview with the Jar Man.
Nothing wholesome involves a jar. It has never happened once.
What about pickling? And brining?
Yeah, but that sometimes.
What about high-end confiture?
People pickle gross things, right?
Like cucumbers?
Well, anything that's not a cucumber. You know,
what about radishes?
Pickled eggs.
What about onions?
Yeah.
What about kombucha?
See that? There's fucking pickled eggs and pickled fucking. There's science labs with pickled fetus in it.
Oh, listen. I think brine and pickle juice is disgusting. I'm just telling you that people use them for non-nefarious purposes.
Jars and bad things. Name a fucking worse combination. All right, so yeah.
So by the way, to anyone who needs to know this, make sure to fill the jar with water. It will increase its tensile strength.
I can't tell.
Because that was his mistake. Do you know that? That's why that happened.
It
wasn't filled with water.
Didn't pour enough water. Yeah.
It was an empty jar that time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alrighty. What the fuck is happening? You can catch the Iron Saga stream on Saturday, but yeah, that's pretty much just going to be it for this week over on Wooly Versus on Twitch and on YouTube.
Okie dokie.
What up?
So I played some Monster Hunter GU. Who cares? I played some Kingdom Come Deliverance too. Who cares? That's just pure peasant, amazing shit. It's incredible. What's actually important is that Monday was Paige and I's anniversary, and so we played Split Fiction, the new Joseph Fares joint.
Is it a bop?
It's so much better of a bop than It Takes Two. It's
of course.
Unbelievable.
Of course. There you go.
It is.
See? I knew it, man.
It is incredible.
Those trailers
didn't really pop for me.
But I was watching. I was watching them, and I was watching as people were like, "Yeah, I don't know," and I'm like, "It doesn't matter. It's who's making it. It's who's making it. They've never fucking failed. Every one of those games from Brothers Upwards was great. I'm like, whatever they showed, I'm like, I believe you're gonna make an amazing co-op game, and lo and behold, they fucking did."
So that game puts its foot on the gas and doesn't let up for multiple hours. Like it is go faster, more gameplay for hours. The number one thing that it has over It Takes Two is it just plays like a way better game. Like all the different types of games that you're playing, they all play like really, really well and feel really, really great.
Every different way to co-op in unique, interesting manners from stage to stage.
Fast too, like really, really, really fast.
Awesome.
Like you are playing each sequence for like 10 minutes. And the way they break it up is so genuine and so perfect, because like the first big level is like primarily sci-fi, right? So you're doing your cyber ninja stuff, and you'll do like, here's the wall, here's the segment where one character has to move boxes around the environment and the other one has to run on ceilings and do platforming, right? And then you have 10 minutes of like, no, it's a chase sequence where one character's driving and the other character's on the gunner, right? And then it's like, here's a side story. And well, what's the side story? Okay, you're gonna play a fantasy game because it's the side story of the sci-fi level, and the sci story will be Journey. It's just going to be Journey. It will be Joseph Fares going, would you like to play Journey right now as a co-op game? And you go, yes, I would.
Okay.
And then you go back to
co-op
sci-fi, and now you're doing like crazy in the sky flying car platforming while one character is like fighting a boss and the other character is doing puzzles in the background. Okay, now we're going to do side story. What's the side story? It's Banjo-Kazooie with pigs that can fart so hard they fly.
Okay.
So you're gonna play this like dedicated Banjo-Kazooie level,
like
and just ping pong.
Hell
like,
yeah!
The whole time, so fast.
So it's already admirable that Hazelight is dedicated towards keeping couch co-op games alive, and that on its own would be like a noble thing to be like, yeah, I love it. But the fact that they're crushing it with each one is that's fantastic.
Like it's amazing. Like Paige was like squealing in delight, and I was just like like the whole time. It's amazing.
Cause like the well, I mean, Brothers was something different, but that was still just like, with one player, you taking both and you're having a good time doing experimenting with the way they play, at the same simultaneously. A Way Out, obviously, like just pretty straightforward, but premise and narrative
right up until the plot twist you saw coming.
Yeah
Right up until the game just turning into a very different type of game.
And
that is actually insanely exciting.
But it's like, it's not that complex, it's just very exciting. That's it, right? It just does it really well. And I would say that like the the last time around, you know, it was like, let's have a fun little kids adventure, but the main thing is like, let's do a bunch of co-op things that nobody else is really doing. And like, once the idea is done, cool, next, you know, explore this one gameplay element for as much as you can in this one stage, and then discard it and fucking start over next stage, you know. That's really
I felt
cool.
like It Takes Two was almost like a test game for split fiction, because It Takes Two is a lot more like thematically consistent, because it's about divorce, and working together and yada yada. But like actually playing it wasn't all that exciting. Split fiction does not have as strong of a thematic push, but actually playing it is like Thrill House.
Nice.
Like you're just like, oh, the whole time. Though what the story is about is that you, as an unpublished author, are going to a big tech company who has told you that they're going to help publish your new books. But then when you get there, they feed you into a robot that's supposed to steal all of your ideas.
Oh no! Oh no, not the robot. That's yeah, okay.
Which feels well timed.
That's quite apt. Yes, interesting. Yeah, this is the kind of game that obviously it'd be fucking absolute gangbusters to start right now, but timing wise, I gotta look at a lot of things and figure it out, you know. But I super want to play.
Just put it on the list for later then, because it is good, very good game. It's like we came away from it like sweating and just like, that's amazing.
Just one sesh, like couple levels.
Yeah, just one session so far.
Okay.
We went through like the entirety of the first sci-fi level, so it feels like there will be 4 large scale stages, which would be sci-fi, fantasy.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then if your preference is the other one, well, don't worry. When you're playing the sci-fi level, the little side stories will be fantasy based. When you're playing the fantasy ones, the side stories will be sci-fi based.
Okay, yeah. So I'll come back around to this for sure. I think I'm just gonna hammer out some Cyberpunk for now. It's a big game. It can use it. Good. You know.
The other thing that happened to me this week is that I was like, you know what? I think I've played enough of Monster Hunter GU. I think I'm gonna switch my streams over to Monster Hunter Rise. Because I never got all that far into Rise, the Switch one that later came to PC.
Yeah, dogs, yeah.
I never did any of the Sunbreak stuff, and it's been a really long time. And the Sunbreak stuff is the best stuff in there, so yeah, why not? And my chat really seems to really enjoy playing Monster Hunter, but older Monster Hunters. So yeah, you know what? Let's do it. So I started to test out Rise, and I was like, wow, Rise is crashing like a lot. That's weird. It's crashing like a lot, huh? Like every single quest would crash. And then I told Paige that, and she's like, you know, I forgot to tell you, but the other day I turned on the computer and I went to go do something, and it blue screened, and then it just blue screened after it restarted, and then it blue screened after it restarted again. And eventually it just turned itself off, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. And then it did that to me also. And I'm like, oh, this is poor. This is poor. And I'm like, because I have the CPUs that can be affected by the rust. So I'm like, ooh, you know what I should do?
This is the house computer.
Yeah, this is the one in my home. You know what I should do? So I have my hard drive that I have, my portable hard drive that has all the stuff I need to put on a new computer. So that, and I pull my thumbnails for the channel off and, shit like that. So it's like, oh, I can just reset this anytime, right? So I'm like, all right, get a USB key and I get Windows 11 on it and I use the media creation tool and I plug it in and I do a complete 100% clean Windows install. And I'm like, all right, good. So it's booting up to desktop after a completely clean Windows install, and it blue screens when it starts to download the very first Windows update. Then it restarts, and blue screens before I can gain mouse control.
Okay.
And
All
does
right.
it 5 times in a row. And I'm like, okay.
Let's hit that.
Okay.
Hit that BIOS.
This is now outside of my level of expertise here.
Okay.
Because I could go in the BIOS, but I would not know what to
do from
turn
there.
on or off.
Like aggressive safe moding and then piece by piece diagnosis, basically.
So I had already priorly done safe mode and stuff like that. And I look back and I'm like, you know, I've talked about this on stream. I've had a lot of trouble installing drivers on that computer. Like I go to install a driver, it just says failed. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm worried that it's the rust. So we popped the computer in the car and we brought it to PC Man, my local PC guy. And I was like, can you fix my computer? And he said, yeah, I'll take a look at it. And I was expecting to get a phone call saying, well, your CPU is fried. You'll have to RMA a replacement or buy a replacement. And that would take this amount of time. Oh, my God. No, he called me yesterday on my show. And he was like, hey, your computer's done. I'm like, really? What'd you fix?
Replace one part?
And he said, I'm not 100% sure because I did a lot.
Okay.
So then well, the reason why the podcast is late today is I went down there and ended up talking to him for quite a while over what he had done. And he explained the sequence of events that he did, where he basically cleaned it all out, went to the BIOS, did every single option to the BIOS he could possibly think of as a technician, checked every single component separately, ran diagnostics, and then he loaded it up in like an offline secure environment, installed Windows, and then installed every Windows update to date separately, followed by a reboot. And then all drivers for every part of my computer separately via a reboot, after reboot.
The cleanest install.
That is probably horrible overkill, but I wanted to be sure.
Yep.
And now it works, and it's at my house, and it's working just fine. And he gave me, there's a folder on my drive that is all the things he installed, and they're subdivided into folders in the order in which he installed them.
Okay.
So that if I ever run into any issues, I just do that again.
No new parts.
Nope.
Awesome.
He's like, yeah, this fan is dead. I'm like, yeah, I know that fan is dead.
Okay. Because the limits of my abilities are like, like again, hit the BIOS up, do an aggressive piece by piece diagnosis. But like, once something isn't working, like that's where I'm like, I'm not gonna try to fix this. I'm doing a part replacement, you know?
Yeah, and so here's the thing. If I had done a part replacement, I would have had the same problem, but had spent more money on parts. Right? Because that wasn't the problem. The problem was not the part. The problem was the problem was a compound of errors that I had made in the maintenance of my computer.
Right. Okay. Because what often ends up happening in most cases is like, if you can take the part out, put it in a different computer, and see if it fucking does the same shit.
Yeah.
Then you go, well, it's that, you know, and then you go replace that. So yeah. Okay.
So what was interesting though is that I called him on the phone to describe the problem, and he was like, "You better bring that thing in. I don't think I can fix that on a house call." Right? I'm like, okay. So I bring it in and I walk in the door and it was, hey, the streamer. And I'm like, that's right. He's been to my house.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, this fan is dead. I'm like, yes, you disconnected that fan. He's like, I did? I'm like, yes, you did actually. You were at my place doing a house call and you disconnected that fan. And then we shot the shit about, you know, bullshit while we discussed the computer. And yeah, very cool guy. Super helpful. Cost me like $200. That's it.
This is a lost art now, what you're describing. It feels as if more and more
an honest computer mechanic.
Yeah. It feels like shit's built to be tossed and repurchased, you know?
Yeah, but sometimes it just it's like if I had just replaced parts, I'd still have the same problem.
No, sometimes it's just like, yeah, do the cleanest reboot, reinstall, everything,
Yeah, and tweak things to be nice and whatnot.
Good stuff.
And then the other thing is that like he updated my BIOS and then was like, hey, you have another computer like this, right? Okay, here's the BIOS information you need to update that BIOS. I'm like, thank you. Very nice. And then we held hands a little bit.
There you go.
Because it was a good moment.
There you go. Do you also have that feeling where, like, as you're trying to solve the problem, like, you hit a point where you're like, you know, if I spent the rest of the day, I could maybe fix this, but I'm an adult and I have a disposable income, so I'm going to just.
Well, for me, it's always like, listen, is it worth it? If I run into a type of problem, can I fix this in the time it would take for me to make out the equivalent cost through my own labor?
Like, yeah,
is it a better idea
Yeah.
for me to go stream and just have a man who knows what he's doing help me?
In the heat of the stress, there's always a part where I'm like, nah, I'm out. I could, but I'm out. I don't want this anymore. I don't want. So
these are all considerations, but do you know what the real consideration is?
Mm-hmm.
I want to work on this problem to the point where when I have to ask a man for help, it's not like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I got this in like 2 seconds.
Right.
I need to work on the problem to the point where when the man comes to my house to help me, he doesn't think I'm a baby.
Yes.
He's like, oh yeah, no, this is a problem.
And here's the thing is, if somebody opens up the hood of a car, we can't do shit. But if you open up a computer, we can kind of sound like we know what we're talking about. Therefore, this is one of the few times where you get to be like, hey, honey, come listen to this or whatever. Just be like, yeah, so, you know, I was tinkering around back there, pulled out the power supply, fixed that fan. You know, there's a lot of dust, got the dust on it, was checking how the RAM was clean. And you're like, okay, whatever, you know.
So like, for example, I had a toilet that was like running, you know, like the handle was a little fucky. And so it was like kind of just running constantly. And I was like, so I popped it off. I turned the water off and I'm fucking with it. I'm like, I don't know how to replace this part. And I don't even know where to get this fucking part. So the plumber comes over and he goes, oh yeah, this happens all the time. And he fixed it in like 2 minutes. And like he worked at it enough that it didn't make me feel like a little baby. Because if he had walked in and gone and like turned something and gone, it's fixed, I would have been like, oh, I guess I'm a stupid baby idiot. Oh.
Yeah, no, my version of that is I'm making 3 trips to Home Depot in the same day because it was the wrong fucking nut, and that nut doesn't fit on this piece, and the back of the toilet needs that specific kind, and you got the plastic version, but it needed to be the metal one, and just like hitting up that same aisle while it's not happening, but I'm imagining the person working at the paint booth is just kind of watching me walk back and forth, in, out, and then an hour later back in again. Like, what? Did
I tell you
need
the story of what happened to my keys?
No.
I never told you what happened to my keys. So I went to my local hardware store because I needed. We moved in and we were just like, we don't have enough copies of our keys. I had I lost my full thing of keys scare, and was like, oh, one of those we don't have a replacement for. So I went down there. I'm like, hey, can I order some sets of keys? And the new kid who was being trained was like, well, I have to learn how to make keys, so I'll do them. And I'm like, okay. And so he busted me out like, 3-4 sets of keys. He's like, here you go, man. Great. And then I brought them home, and then I tried one, and it immediately got jammed in the lock.
Oh.
And had the door stuck locked.
Oh no. Fuck. That there's some
and I had to get a fucking I had to get like pliers, not pliers. I had to get a wrench.
A wrench, yeah.
And fucking get a hold of it and like.
Oh man, that sucks. Yeah.
And I was like worried that it was gonna snap off in the fucking lock, and And then I went back there and had like, do you know when you're having an angry, tense conversation in which every emotion in the conversation is being contained within you only? So like, I'm mad enough that I could scream because I almost got locked out of my house because I got bad keys. But like the kid is like 18 and it was literally, I think it might have actually been his first day
on the job.
And like, the other guy was probably supposed to help him more than he did. So like, this is the type of accident that can happen.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like losing my mind because my shit almost got fucked up. So I'm like, hey, so I need replacements for these keys because I almost got locked out of my house. Yeah. So if you could redo them, or maybe have one of the more experienced guys do them, because the last set was a little off, I would really appreciate it. Like, you know, when like it's just like screaming to burst out, but you know doing so would be wrong, and you're kind of just being emotional and like a baby about it.
The red check. Well,
you shouldn't have sent me out the door with fucking keys you weren't 100% sure on, man.
But it was his first day at Frit, and
this is my first day.
You know, just yeah. Well, look, you know, you didn't like. I mean, if you're like the door locked and my baby is in there, you know, it's like.
Well, then I would be like, I need to talk to a manager because I need restitution for my smashed window.
Like,
because
yeah,
you know, like
we're talking about a different situation, but okay, damn.
Right, I was like, yeah. But yeah, Split Fiction's great, and make sure old guy who doesn't look like he wants to talk to you instead of smoking makes your keys. Like the guy who's in work off of his smoke break, like most of his time is spent smoking outside.
Yeah, and
he's come in to make your keys. That's the guy you want.
Oh no, so this is the same rule that applies to Waffle House, where. Like, when you walk up to the Waffle House, you want the chef on his smoke break who looks pissed that you're walking in, who outs his cigarette and then goes, oh, fuck, and goes inside.
If I go to a restaurant and
that's how you know it's good.
I see the cooking staff and it doesn't look like any of them have been arrested, I should probably leave.
Yeah.
Listen, the back of the house staff should have maybe been to a little bit of jail.
Right.
To make their cooking skills really excellent.
There's a sous chef, and if you ask for like if he can find other things, he can probably provide. You know, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Aside from that, it's basically been fucking around in Monster Hunter GU and Kingdom Come Deliverance and being sad that my PC is gone.
You never want to hear English coming out of the kitchen.
Never.
You want
unless you're in Quebec.
Yeah. You want to hear every other language coming out of that kitchen.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
I do have a small baby update, which is, you know, man, they grow up so fast. You're just speed running through all these phases, but this phase, this is a fucking good one.
Okay.
So we're desperately trying to instill good manners because that's important for society. So we're on the please and thank you battle.
Okay.
Right now, he's very little. So please and thank you are usually actually just the hand signals, right? So like tapping on your chin is please, and tapping on your chin and outwards is thank you, right? But we're still trying to get the words out. So, hey, little man, do you want your milk? And you go, give it, right? And you're like, no, hey, we ask please. And so he'll touch his chest like this, go, pa. You know, okay, good, great. Here's your milk. Can you say thank you? And my little guy is trying to say thank you, but instead he goes, deet doo. So you give him his milk, and this tiny little guy, deet doo, and then like wobbles away with his milk. And I'm just like,
yeah. Don't resist the urge to keep it at deet doo for as long as possible.
oh no. Me and Paige are gonna be saying deet doo to this kid for 20 more years.
Oh.
Remember when you weren't even 2 years old and you would take your milk and you would go deet doo? I remember. Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember.
Okay, no, that's fine. What I'm talking about is like, okay, cool, I'll have the car back by 10. Deet doo.
No.
Like, and you just never even correct it.
Yeah, no. You gotta learn the regular words.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's going on over here. As for the show, this week, this might be the most fucked up scheduled week I have ever made. I changed my schedule. I posted it like 8 times because everything would go wrong and things would move and appointments would be reminded. And then the computer died and then just all sorts of things. And now I'm changing it again because there's a sponsored stream coming up this week that just came in the last minute. But tomorrow I'm going to be checking out the Future Games Show.
Okay.
Which is at 1 p.m. Pacific. Well, hold on, let me check. It's the Future Games Show. Is that a 1 p.m. Pacific? It better be, because that's the time that I think I was doing it. It's going to be hosted by Jen English and Nolan North.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 p.m. Pacific. And we're also going to do more Monster Hunter later in the week, though I'm not sure which Monster Hunter it is at this point, because I'm flip-flopping all over the place. And I'm going to be doing a sponsored stream of a game called Once Upon a Puppet, either tomorrow or the day after.
Okay.
That's over at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt.
As you said that bit about good manners, it just reminds me of the line, a metaphor. It's like, good hygiene is important to communal living, I think.
It sure is.
Yeah, every time you use the bathroom, it's just a little like, yeah, that's why you got to do it.
Yeah. Wash your butt.
Shit don't change till you get up and wash your ass. That's what Grandma says.
You know what's really funny to me, Wooly?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I've streamed lately, someone comes in the chat and goes, "Hey man, are you gonna cover Assassin's Creed Shadows?" And I just like, nah, man. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm fine.
There's a deep need inside of me to find out what's going on with Yasuke, as someone who has been
apparently you don't get to play as him for a while.
20 hours or so. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, but I've wanted a Yasuke game for so long.
Play Neo
for so long now. Neo, yeah,
he's there.
But I mean, like Yasuke on main more so.
Yeah,
you know.
This seems like a massive waste of time. Like it's one of those things. Like the idea that. Sorry, after you.
No, I'll see, but I have a deep curiosity inside of me to know what's going on with him in this game and how that goes. You know. We'll see.
There's something about like I had to know. Oh yeah, what did you find out? That it wasn't worth it.
You know, I'm kind of just like, maybe, yeah. Are they gonna make that armor from the statue from the photo of him with the leather, you know, and stuff? I don't know. Anyways, if I do, I'll be doing that in my own time, you know. So
yeah,
I'm not fucking subjecting
I gotta take
anybody
a quick
to that.
break. I gotta feed the dog dinner.
BRB. Alrighty. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors.
I love sponsors. Don't you, Booze?
This week, the podcast is sponsored by Lil Boozy.
Yeah, little Boozy man over here. Yeah.
Wipe me down. It's too on point. This week, the podcast is sponsored by Shopify. Cha-ching. That's the sound of Shopify. That is the #1 checkout on the planet if you are trying to figure out how to get your e-commerce off the ground, if you want to figure out how to open up a shop, if you want to...
Well, I can't even fix my own computer. How am I supposed to figure out e-commerce?
Right. It's confusing. There's a lot going on, and people, it turns out, they live very far away. And it turns out that getting things to people is a very complicated process.
It's a global economy.
And then writing down that, like, somebody bought something and then putting that in a book somewhere is also really complicated. Yeah, there's a whole lot that goes into expanding, getting a shop online, figuring out how to ship to where, and keeping track of all of that data, all of those metrics, and figuring out how to implement that shop or that checkout into your various platforms, your website, your social media, wherever it is that you want to plug into. That's where Shopify comes in handy. They're really handy at all of that. Again, the best checkout on the planet. Helped us with the figuring out how to do a podcast into t-shirt pipeline, and anything that you want to get up and running from your first sale all the way to your millionth. They can scale with you, grow with you, and keep you on top of all of the metrics, analytics, and useful data for you as well. They've got Shop Pay, which is a super handy system. I talk often about using that for all my orders and keeping track of what I got coming in and going out where. Big fan of how convenient it is to put all that info in one place. And it has been particularly easy to use. So if you're getting in there, you could upgrade your business, get the same checkout that we used. You sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/superbeast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/superbeast to upgrade your selling today. One more time, that's shopify.com/superbeast. Thank you, Shopify.
Thanks, Shopify.
All right. What's going on this week? Couple of left field announcements that I took note of. One, the City of the Wolves beta.
Sorry?
City of the Wolves open beta number 2.
Sorry, the what?
City of the Wharves.
Thank you.
Open beta number 2 is incoming. This time, including Tizoc.
Fuck yeah.
And training mode.
Now we're talking. We both got the #1 thing we wanted out of the next beta.
The #1 feature, as demanded. Yes. Training mode and the Griffon mask, which I prefer that, I have to say.
I can go either way on it. I don't really. I love both of them, but it's like it's. I also love King of the Dinosaurs. This is stupid as shit.
But that's what I mean is, like, I like King of the Dinosaurs as a wrestler name, and I feel like the Griffon mask is like a wrestler name. You know, like that's a personality.
I think them putting out a second open beta for the City of the Wharves is really smart, because they were cooking a little bit with that last one. But they were also not cooking a lot with parts of that last one.
I mean, they were whipping up a fucking like a Michelin rated meal with the gameplay.
Yeah.
But the ability to get that meal to your house was a very, very bad porter service.
How are you going to get it to my house? Oh, my cousin Jerry's going to drive it over. Really? Are you not? Whoa.
If you show up in person, you're gonna get a great meal. But if you're getting,
but the COVID, I want you to deliver it to my house, please.
But it turns out you got to get it ordered and delivered, and the delivery service is poor, even though the meal is great. That's the problem.
I gotta say, Wooly, I don't know when I started doing this. I started doing it a while ago. There is like it's a different pronunciation. It's like regional or Canadian or whatever. But calling something poor, that's one thing. Calling it poor is like, ooh.
So you're
really putting the thumb on the scale with that.
You've been doing that.
I love it.
Yeah, you've been doing that for about 15 years now, and I don't know anyone else that does it, so it's a youism.
Is it a meism?
I know what you're talking about because you are the one that does it.
Oh, I like it. I think it works. I think it works well for me.
I believe there's there's a chance at some point in the future, kind of like how Raiden and Big Bear are the face and heel of the same character.
Right.
There might be a fallen Tizoc man unmasked that we get to at some point, but I hope we never see his face. I feel like it would be blasphemous, like King. He's got to die in
King
the mask.
Doesn't have a face.
No, there's
underneath there. Guess what? Leopard man.
The moment you put the mask on, it's permanently grafted to your head. And if you're an orphan who gets raised to be that, then it's like a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, your identity was subsumed into the king mask.
All your words become roars, but everyone still understands you.
It's my favorite part of that.
Yeah, so that's going to be... when is that happening, City of the Wharves? It's happening next weekend. So that's going down if anyone wanted to get hands on Fatal Fury City of the Wharves. And, that game is very fun. I suggest if you get a chance at it, y'all check it out.
I would really like it if they tuned up that net play. That would make me really happy.
It's again, you got a fucking shitbag delivery man working for a really good restaurant that just opened up in your neighborhood. Like this is a perfect analogy. Like you really want to eat there. It's not the food that's the problem. It's the state that it arrives at your fucking door at.
Did my delivery driver eat some of my fucking fries?
This time around, you're getting the ingredients, so you can try cooking it up a little bit at home too. Alongside this, Nightdive Studios off the top rope with the "I have no mouth and I must scream" console port announcement trailer.
Yeah, I gotta tell you about it, by the way, man. Nightdive Studios, they're all right.
Yeah. Now.
All right.
A head scratcher of a pull, except for if you remember me bringing up this game a couple months ago, because The Amazing Circus put it back on the radar for a whole new generation of kids when the creator basically said that that series is inspired by I Have No Mouth, which then led to a massive spike in information, including people going back to our old LP. And like,
why so much noise about I Have No Mouth now?
Because The Amazing Circus, that's why. And people that are like, yeah, this is cool, but why do they keep talking over it? And it's like, oh, modern day versus yesteryear.
So I'm looking at this trailer. Is Harlan Ellison still alive?
No, but the voice and samples are. It's just a port. It's not a remake. They're using the old recordings. They're using.
Oh, they were using the old recordings.
Yeah. No, they're just. Yeah.
Bro, that is a mouse-heavy fucking game. I'm interested to see.
It was also jank as hell.
It sure was.
Went through some trouble getting that to run properly. So, did. Did I use Scum? I feel like I used something like Scum VM to get it running or so, It was from way back, but anyway, if you ever wanted to know, yeah, now's your chance to get a crack at it. And the author of the book is the narrator, is the voice of Am, the hateful computer, and he puts as much hatred into it as he wanted there to be, because he couldn't cast anyone to do that.
Yeah, hey, this guy, he's not angry enough. There's not enough venom. There's not enough hatred. Fuck it. I'll do it.
Hate. Shout outs to the word nano angstrom.
I like it. It doesn't mean anything, but you know it means real small.
Couple other things. What else got announced? Silent Hill F.
Silent Hill F got shown off. I watched the Silent Hill F transmission.
Directed by written by the writer of Umineko.
And
When They Cry.
The other one, the Kill Yourself anime.
The When They Cry series.
No, Higurashi.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's written by him, scenario done by him, etc.
Seems like it's like, okay, Silent Hill in a Japan setting seems to be a
in the 60s
proper Japanese horror, like
no
visuals.
Guns.
Picks up a pipe, picks up a
yeah.
I guess
looks cool.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
A couple things of note. Unlike other Silent Hill games on Steam, this one has a massive forward before you click through to the game. It's not just scenes of violence and gore. It's also like views of characters of their era and do not reflect the state of the company like that shit.
Oh shit. Okay, we're getting into the context is not supported by the company.
So that game's going to have some shit in it.
Okay.
The other thing of note is that the Silent Hill F transmission was an extremely Japanese style presentation in that they showed you the thing you came for first.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a 45-minute round table where they would bring out a dev and ask them a vague question in which the dev would just say, "We're working really hard."
Okay. Please look forward to it.
They would then bring out another dev.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you think you're going to stay true to Silent Hill? Well, we have looked back at the old games and we are all steam ahead and we are working very hard.
Yes.
And like that for like 40 minutes.
Yep. Stay
so like,
true,
don't watch that.
Hard.
Watch the trailer.
Please look forward. Yeah, anytime someone comes out and says they have a message in Japanese, they're like a special message announce. My only question, I guess, is like, this looks like it could be an interesting horror game. Why even call it Silent Hill?
Well, because so they did this thing when they were talking and going in circles on their Silent Hill transmission, in which they creatively rearranged things that happened into a new type of truth known as bullshit. In which they said, well, Silent Hill has always been about Japanese horror sensibilities with Western settings. And I went, no, it's not. It's, hey, we want to make a fucking Stephen King game. Let's make a fucking Stephen King game. Let's make The Fog. So obviously, since it's been a Japanese series the whole time, it makes perfect sense to cast it in Japan, which that's not a problem. That's a cool setting to put a Silent Hill game. And the Silent Hill series has gradually expanded the influence of the town. Like it was the town itself. Then it was where you could send letters out to wherever James happened to be. And then in Silent Hill 3, it's one town over. And then in Silent Hill 4, it's 2 towns over.
Yes,
and so on and so forth.
The fog everywhere system. Ascension, fucking whatever is happening there. Yeah.
But the real reason is that he got the Higurashi guy to write it, and he wanted to put it in a Japanese setting.
I would have also accepted the answer to my question, because, Wooly, you might not have clicked play on the trailer if it didn't call itself Silent Hill.
Well, that is also true. If we're gonna make a horror game at Konami, we should put the fucking Silent Hill tag.
Is important.
It's got that brand synergy on it.
Yep. And then you go, oh, are we going to see like a Japanese version of the nurse? Well,
probably not.
You're seeing the like whatchamacallit, Sadako style, like long hair demon lady. So, whatever her personalized old Japanese demons are. But I guess the idea of can we say that if we see Pyramid Head with a samurai sword, it's safe to give up?
Oh, yeah. No, that's not going to happen.
If you see Pyramid Head with a giant Nodachi, it's time to walk away.
The game's primary visual theme is flowers and orchids and lotuses.
Oh, fuck.
So there's like a lotus head freak and all that. But that would be so cooked. That would be so done.
But because we're saying brand recognition, and it's like, and there's a limit, but perhaps Umineko guy can do it.
No, I'm not too worried about it. Looks cool.
Yeah,
don't know much about it other than some basic details.
And that F is like musical note in nature, right? So.
Yeah, but it could mean something. It could mean friends or family or.
Efu.
It could mean many things.
Female protagonist.
That's right. Never had one of those. Wait, that's not true. There was a moment where they were basically saying like Silent Hill has not been good to females, which came off like super strange. Like, yeah, you know what? Silent Hill does not respect women. That is technically accurate. I mean, you have played as girls in these games before.
Yeah, Heather Ashley was fine.
There's Heather, there's Maria, there's
I have taken to just saying the word Heather Ashley because I can't. I can't split.
There was that girl in the short message. They're totally different characters.
They are, but unfortunately,
they're not even close.
But unfortunately, they're
a little close. I'll admit they're a little close.
I can't. I tried and I can't.
You can, dude. You can.
It's very hard.
I'm gonna do something.
Yeah. That is I guess something to keep an eye on there. And I suppose the idea is if they come out and then put a big like, hey, this is the writer. It's someone who wrote things that you liked probably. Then you can rest a little easier. Mayhaps.
Hey, Wooly, I sent you a picture. Which character is that?
That's Resident Evil 4.
See how easy it is? Wait, that's the character? The character is Resident Evil 4. Fuck, dude. Oh, come on.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Oh, no.
All right. They also announced Space Marine 3.
No shit.
Nothing to show. In fact, you click play on the trailer and it's just the artwork with like music playing. And it's just like, it's happening.
This is like a massive no shit. This is very obvious. Space Marine 2 blowing up the charts, selling 1 shit-zillion copies.
But like, why just make a fucking like music play thing video? Like just, and the announcement too says like development has begun on it. It's like
because it keeps people more excited to keep playing Space Marine 2.
It's so insanely early. I guess it's that quarter.
Yeah, man. It's March, dude.
Don't go anywhere, investors. Stick around.
Yeah. See how this is the most successful Warhammer game ever made by order of magnitude. We're gonna make another one.
When was
Space? Make even more money.
It's like, when was Space Marine 1? Like what's the time difference between those games? Is fucking what, 10 years more? What are we talking about? 2011. Okay, yeah.
That first one was rock solid, but it didn't set the world on fire.
14 years and then 1. There you go.
Yeah. Space Marine should have gotten a fucking sequel years ago. That game was great. But the world wasn't ready for Warhammer.
They weren't ready. Okay.
Warhammer is in a better place now.
We got a... I mean, it was right after we wrapped up last week talking about the Disco successors. Zaum came out and put out their trailer for Project C4. And not much to this, as with all of this news, you know, is just, it's going to be the same thing. Like, you know, nothing new to say except just, the Zaum project, I believe, is the one with the least amount of any of the meat from Disco involved. It's the one that is like the most husk, because it's the logo and the IP holders. But if I'm not mistaken, like, there was a first batch of people that left post Kurvitz, and then there's a bunch of people, I believe, that there's a falling out because they, like, Kurvitz was like, yo, why are you fucking sticking around? And they're like, because we got a paycheck, you know, we got to get paid.
I need to pay my fucking bills,
which is an understandable bit. But I think at this point,
wait, I need to pay my bills is not a bit. I'm trying a new bit. It's like I pay my electricity.
Surviving in Estonia. That is an understandable thing. But of all of them, I believe that this is the most Skinwalker of the companies with the least amount.
No, it's not. I'll tell you what. Do you want to see what's the most Skinwalker?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Disco Elysium on Android?
I heard there was a port that was happening.
Did you look at it?
No. Is it out? Is it done?
But there's footage of it in their trailer. So do you want to feel really conflicted?
Is it a good port?
It looks really interesting. Because it's not a port. It's a translation into a visual
artwork
novel.
Watched through
new artwork for various scenes. But that's not the part that made me go like full visual novel. But the part that got me and was like, oh shit, this might have something, is there is a very short clip right at the end where they show you in Martinez from like a street view, panning the camera to decide where to go.
Oh, with this like Google Street View thing?
Yeah.
I don't like that as much.
Like,
I see that.
This might actually be a cool way to play that game.
I don't like that part. It looks like you're gonna, I guess you warp the thing and then click to the location. That's not a thing. But the format change is interesting. That's an interesting way to do it. Yeah. Man, what a fucking mess. What a goddamn mess.
Like when reaction speed talks to you, the fucking stat head becomes like the full phone behind the text. And it's like, that's actually pretty cool.
That's smarter. That is smarter than just porting it and squashing all of it into a small screen, you know? That is more effort than doing it that way. But yeah, no, the soul, the blood, the life, all of that shit. We'll see how this shakes out in a couple of years. But this is definitely a like beginning of Mighty Number 9 announcement, beginning of 3B's question moment where I wish I could fast forward and see the noises I'm going to be making in reference to all of the shit that we're finding out right now, you know? Josh told me that apparently Argo Tulik did like a fucking insane 9-hour podcast talking about Disco, and I want to go check that out.
Did he say anything
Yeah, apparently there's a.
I was gonna continue that questions, and no, did he say anything?
Apparently he says something. He says one big interesting potential world spoiler for Disco, and then he stops himself, and then.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then goes, actually, I'm gonna let Robert tell you that if he ever needs to. It's not my story to tell, but there's at least that bit that I was told about. So, let's see here. What else did we find out? We found out. Have you heard about the God of War Amazon show?
I've heard about it.
The showrunner.
I don't think they can do a good job.
Well, the showrunner Ronald D. Moore has confirmed that they've ordered a second season. So they've ordered 2 seasons of it right off the bat.
Why does that name sound so familiar?
Battlestar Galactica.
Oh fuck! Oh no!
Right. But here's the thing.
But he also worked on Star Trek, didn't he?
Here's the thing.
He did work on Star Trek.
In that interview, he goes, "Yo, I'm not a gamer. I couldn't figure out the controls. I tried to play them." They're like, "Isn't that's a big order, right? To be working on God of War?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. I tried to give it a shot. I don't know how to play these games. I can't figure it out." Then
he wrote All Good Things. Oh shit. Oh no.
So I hear a lot of good things, obviously, about Battlestar Galactica, and you and various other friends of mine have had nothing but glowing.
Is like a 10 out of 10 show for every episode except for 3 or 4 episodes from the end.
So take that piece of information, and then take this part about he's like, yeah, the I'm not a gamer line. This show originally had a separate showrunner and a separate set of writers and everything that all walked out 2 years ago. God of War Amazon had a huge shakeup when it was originally the person that's doing the Wheel of Time. And
yeah, I wouldn't want them to do that either.
And they pieced out, and then this got handed over to now Ronald D. Moore. So this was a complete replacing of the writing staff and showrunner. It's a salvage job that it's becoming now at this point. And the thing is that I'm not somebody who's like, if you're a talented writer and you've proven that, if you say I'm not into games and I couldn't figure out like the playing of it or whatever, that doesn't mean that you can't write a good story, right?
No, because like Kratos' story is not necessarily tied to video games.
No, and
it's
like
very Greek,
right? You've been talented this far in other things that don't have to do with necessarily you can play the games or not. But I would say that like I feel like being attached to the material to some degree means that you're going to kind of care about it. Like it feels like it's taking on a job. If you're a writer and you're like, they handed me a gig, I guess I'll take this on. I can probably write this character, as opposed to like, oh yeah, I have a feeling and a connection with this material, and this is, I don't know. I'm just standing out here fucking just observing the fact that he's like, yeah, I don't really play these. I don't know. And that's someone, and he's taking over after someone else, on the project, left. It's a bit of a weird, like, yeah, that versus I suppose like Henry Cavill talking about like how much staying faithful matters to him, and how much he cares. It's like you kind of would hope that connection is there,
So I'm going over Ronald D. Moore's work, and there's a problem that you run into when you look for anybody who wrote on Star Trek. And the problem is that they let you do anything the fuck you wanted on Star Trek. Like, what do you want to write? This? Fuck it, do it. So I'm like, co-wrote All Good Things and House of Quark and First Contact. All right. Also co-wrote Star Trek Generations. Oh, like
Okay.
like every single writer on those shows has like, oh my god, that's one of my favorite episodes, and oh no, they wrote that piece of shit.
Oh wait, did I see that one? I think I saw that one.
Oh, that one sucks.
That's the one where fucking Picard and
Kirk hang out.
And Kirk, shows up, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I did see that one. Right.
Like, oh man,
But that was the whole point of it, right? It was like the captain's meet. That's the big deal.
Yeah, you know what? That was the bad idea. That was the idea that tanked that whole movie.
On paper, that could be done well if they do it well.
They had literally already done the exact same concept in an episode in TNG in which the gang gets to hang out with Scotty. And that episode was good. And that episode was good because it was contained to a 42-minute runtime in which Scotty had 3 or 4 scenes.
So, no, get to the end of the game and the current protagonist of the sequel has to fight the old protagonist bit.
I'm talking about fucking Star Trek, man.
No philosophical battles.
The whole fucking point of Star Trek is maybe you don't have to settle this in a fist fight. That's like the whole point.
No. I obviously I mean like Kirk and Picard like having a fucking, an argument, an interesting discussion.
No, they don't do that at all.
Okay.
They don't do that at all.
Believe me when I say I'm infinitely more interested in when the payoff of the two characters meeting is a banger ass conversation more than an actual fight. Shout outs to Legend of the Galactic Heroes, literally my favorite anime of all time.
The only time I can think of that actually happening in Star Trek and it being really, really solid is the beginning of Deep Space Nine, where TNG was still airing and TNG still had a couple seasons to go when Deep Space Nine started. So they had an episode in which Commander Sisko, who's running the station, meets Picard because the Enterprise is docking there. And that was the first episode so that you could say, hey, look, it's the characters you know from TNG. And they're interacting with these new characters from Deep Space Nine. And so the doctors chat a little bit and, so like the passing of the torch because DS9 is going to continue. And the reason why that was interesting is not just because they're very different characters. It's because Sisko hates Picard personally.
Interesting.
Because Picard killed his wife.
Oh, shit. Okay. Indirectly,
and so those interactions are very weird and very tense and very aggressive.
Through captain decision making?
No, but when he was a Borg. When Picard turned into Locutus, he killed like millions of people, and then they fixed him. But the family and friends of those people are like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
When that dude was a robot, he killed my house.
Okay, that's a clear case of like mind control. So it's not as like messy as it would be if he like made a call that resulted in that. But yeah, all right.
No, if he made a call, they'd probably actually been chill about it. It's like, it's tough. Sometimes you gotta feed someone to the warp engine to make sure the ship doesn't blow up.
Is their shirt yellow?
And that's why Deanna had trouble getting her stripes.
Oh, really?
There's an entire episode about Deanna Troi trying to get her command pips for command instead of just being the therapist, and she keeps running the simulation in which the ship's about to explode. It's like Kobayashi Maru, but it's like an engineering problem.
But she's always about going on about ethics and stuff, right?
Right, but here's the thing. The ethics of the situation demand you tell the engineer to go fix it in the poison tube that will kill them.
Yes.
Because it will cause the ship to not explode.
Kobayashi
because your ethical concern is
right.
the safety of everybody else in the ship.
Right. Trolley problem in space.
And that sucks.
Well, hey, look, again,
you can get every life lesson you need from Star Trek. It's all in there.
I don't know about the full interview, but at least the clip where this writer was talking, it's like clearly you have the chops to write a good story, and clearly
he does have the chops to write a good story.
Clearly,
absolutely.
You're not going to take on a project if you don't have anything to say or if you're not interested in it, you know. So there obviously must be a reason. But it is just kind of like I guess you'd expect to kind of hear that kind of like, oh, but despite that, here's what I find interesting. Here's what I want to explore or look at. Whatever. We'll see. You know.
This is a little outside D. Moore's wheelhouse. Like, because you know, there's not going to be a lot of ships and sci-fi elements to this thing. But he does know how to write a good Socratic argument, which is a great place to put for a Greek setting.
For Kratos. Unfortunately, what's not a great place for Kratos might be Amazon. Or Kiryu. You know, so.
Wait, Kiryu wouldn't be a great place for Kratos?
Amazon. They're not really doing it so far, it seems. And Harry Dubois apparently soon.
Did you see that insane quote out of Amazon in which they're like, we spent like billions of dollars on Amazon gaming and it never even registered as a blip to Steam. And every single person's reaction to that was like, wait, that was supposed to compete with Steam? It didn't even have an application. What the fuck are you talking about?
So insane. It was so fascinating to read about this whole James Bond takeover situation, to learn that like that deal and everything that was happening behind the scenes was because there was like one family that was just like, we control what happens with James Bond like aggressively, and that's why it's been so that's particular and slow and deliberate when something comes out, you know. And that one lady that was like overseeing it is like has been telling them to fuck off for years and now they finally just kind of gave up. So shit was wild. I had no idea that's what was going on, but okay, I guess it makes sense if something like that is in the hands of a family that is like, the only thing we care about is James Bond. We don't give a fuck about the bottom line or, you know, whatever quick flip overs or spin-offs you want to do with Halle Berry. All right, so we get that. They also, so another announcement on the speaking of adaptations and all this, there is a new Starship Troopers coming from...
You know, there's actually been a ton of Starship Troopers movies.
There's been a lot of straight to DVD, like wild shit out there, absolutely, including I think the third one where they got what's his name back, main guy, pretty dude,
Casper Van Dien.
Van Dien came back for that one. But alongside this announcement is that Neil Blomkamp is working on it.
All right.
And I'm like, what? That's you got
okay, all right. My interest is piqued.
Yep. I'm curious. That's a name I trust. I'm curious about that. So he's working on it. Now while he's cooking, what's interesting as well, apparently this is a more faithful to the original book version of things.
Oh, it's a redo?
Based on the actual original sci-fi novel by Heinlein, which I don't know, but
now I'm just like.
But the original book I heard is like actually just fascist, and the adaptation in the movie was like making fun of that shit with the "Would you like to know more?" obviously.
Yeah.
And it was like the satire only came in those movies, but like the book itself doesn't necessarily carry that. It's what I've heard, but I don't know. I'm just going off of what people have said. So I don't know how true that is.
It's
is that it's
yeah, I don't know.
Okay, some people are saying that's an exaggeration. Some people are saying it's half correct. All right, yeah, I caught some people saying that, so I'm like, I don't know if that's the case, but
I don't. So here's the thing. The book is arguably satirical, right? And it's the novel version of, like, oh, you know, is this making fun of fascism or glorifying it?
But
right?
there's room for doubt.
But we live in a world in which, if you look at Starship Troopers, the film,
yes,
people also don't get that that's satire.
True.
So I don't think a deft touch is what's required on this topic.
Yeah. Fucking, oh my God, Sacred and Terrible Air, man. Oh God, there's this chapter where they're just talking about, what do you mean the big film piece on the Nazi actually making fun of him was interpreted as a hero piece, and everyone took it as an inspiration and got motivated by it instead of seeing it for you know, the clown shoes depiction that it's supposed to be. Oh, it flew over their heads, they didn't get it, the subtext was lost, and they took it as sincere. Uh-oh. Yeah, okay, right. If there's no room for debating the movie that we saw, but it still flew over people's heads, the books are gonna be even harder to fucking pick that up on. I get it. That sucks.
I'm seeing folks argue in the chat as to whether or not it is satire or if it's not proto-fascist. And it's like, that's not that's not really even the point. My point is, the general movie-going audience can't even fucking understand that Starship Troopers is the fucking satire. How the fuck are they supposed to actually appreciate any deeper themes?
I know writers that use subtext, or I thought I did. I can't tell. I can't.
Hey,
it might just be text.
I have an update. Either last week or the week before, I described some statistics on the general poor reading level and literacy rates among our American friends.
Yes.
I then saw a massive thread that somebody who clearly knew better than me discussing it, in which while what I said was technically correct, I was not aware that literacy rates among nearly all countries are similarly poor. So the actual takeaway is that no one can read.
I did.
It's bad out there.
I did catch that, and I did catch others, because upon my initial skepticism of that info, as it turns out, it's poor. The level that level out there is poor.
It is very poor.
It's not the same as, I don't know what these letters are, but it's rough.
I can't hold two ideas at the same time, and I can't infer any context, and I can't infer any subtext. It's a world where half people are like, the curtains are just blue. I don't get it.
But at the same time, it's like, we read words through using our phones more than we did as kids.
That's true. I didn't use to read my phone.
Right, and
I didn't have a phone.
You know, and our parents' generation, like, if you weren't reading a newspaper or choosing to go read a book,
you just weren't reading at all.
You just weren't reading at all, right? That's it. You know, so that's why we had the DEAR system. Drop everything and read. You know,
I'm working on teaching the kid to read right now, because, like, I ain't gonna have no non-reading child.
Well, the trick is, have a cool ass auntie who owns a comic book shop.
I mean, that helps.
That sends you books when you're a kid to get into cool shit.
That helps. That helps a lot.
She ruled. She fucking ruled. She's the best.
That is cool.
Oh yeah, saved us. You know. It's like, hey, you got a Bible, you read that.
I'm going to be like, hey, you know what, Little Pat Jr.? You can play as many of these video games as you want, as long as I get to go into the goddamn settings and turn voice volume down to 0. If you want to play your RPGs, you need to read these words, goddammit.
Disco Elysium original cut.
Yeah.
All right, one last bit here. Well, okay, actually two things. I mean, there's not much to this one, but it's like the latest saga in the Ubisoft chapter is that they're reportedly considering creating a fresh business to own the Assassin's Creed and other large franchises, as Tencent might be doing a buyout. The Guillemot family
this is desperate. This is super desperate.
Wants to maintain control of the company Ubisoft, so then why not create like an umbrella thing for all the brand? And it's like, well, I've seen that before. I remember when like Sega Sammy Holdings got created back in the day when those companies were coming together. But it's a bit of a strange thing where it's just like, why not just sell the IPs off piecemeal at that point? Why even make the...
I have to maintain control.
But the name, like, why...
Right. I have to maintain the control.
Like the dummy corp for it, while the name Ubisoft is kept, it's strange.
The company is going bankrupt, and they're just spinning every plate they can to see if they can fucking just hold on for one more day.
I mean, maybe the thought is get the payout of the brands and the IPs being sold, but hold the name so that if you come back with it in some new weird form, you can salvage that recognition. Infogrames into Atari. Never forget. If we put Pong in our logo, everyone's going to think, Atari, Pong, it's them. I remember. Not that stupid fucking Spiral Armadillo. I'm talking to nobody. Nobody remembers this shit. It's.
I'm not even aware of what you're talking about.
There was I'm
your best shot at recognition in this topic.
Yeah, there was a really shitty game developer called Infogrames, like back in
I remember
the PS2 era.
Terrible.
And then they were terrible, and then they rebranded themselves by buying the name Atari, and then called themselves Atari.
I do remember that.
And then they put the Atari logo, and they put Pong on it, and everyone's like, oh, Atari, yeah!
Dude, I was like a 10-year-old, and I knew that was dog shit.
Fucking...
I don't know how people got fucking fooled by that.
Skinwalker
I guess it's because
shit.
they can't read.
What's the fucking fake Pikachu? It's that.
Mimikyu?
It's that. It's Mimikyu shit, All right. The other bit.
Mimikyu was cool though.
Oh yeah.
that's the difference.
The concept behind Mimikyu is rad as fuck. Super dope. I say Grames because it's Grames. It's not games and it's not grams. It's not infogram and it's not infogame. It's infogram. Anyway, so apparently Squeenix started working with a dev to make a new front mission game. That front mission game got canceled. And then the dev used the same assets from that canceled game to release their own mecha game. Oh, Blackjack Studio released its own game called Mecharashi. And when you look, would you like to see a screenshot of some of...
I'm in the process of looking.
All right, here you go. So on the left is the front mission game they were working on.
Oh my god!
And on the right,
oh my god,
is the original brand IP Mecharashi.
Y'all are gonna get fucking sued.
They are. That's literally what this news article is about.
Oh wow!
It's the audacity is wild. We from behind the scenes. Everyone I know in this industry, myself included, knows how much it fucking sucks when you work on a cool thing that gets canceled and no one will ever see it because it just gets buried, unseen, light of day, forever, inaccessible. It's such a fucking waste of talent and time. But you can't do this. This is crazy. Oh my god, it's just the assets and it's everything, And that the team was like, fuck them. We didn't waste our time. You're going to cancel on us? Well, fuck you. We'll show you what. And it's like, yeah.
I legit can't believe what is happening with the Front Mission series at Square Enix. The first one was like kind of bad, a remake. The second one has a ruined translation. Like it's ruined. It's machine translated. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
They have 2 steps to get it right on the third.
And the third one, all the footage looks really bad. Looks really, really bad.
You had 2 tries to figure it out and then nail it.
Like the asset quality is better and the lighting is better, but when the robots like punch each other, there's no oomph to it. It looks super fucking weak and shit.
Yeah. So with this story, at the very least, lawsuit is underway, and it seems Blackjack.
This looks deserved.
Yeah, I think it was. Are they located in China, Hong Kong? In which case, it's like, well, yeah, they give no fucks. They gave no fucks. That's that.
I don't give a shit. What are you gonna do? Sue me?
The audacity might be explained by the location of the company, perhaps, but god damn, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, if there's times where it's like this energy, we laugh at it because it ends up usually being like, oh, hey, look, Bayonetta 3 suddenly has giant dinosaurs that you can control while you fight at the same time. Interesting. I wonder when that came into production,
Yeah, don't worry too much.
Yeah, and then that's how it usually goes, You have that little, oh, look at these features. Yeah. Wow, they suddenly showed up and they're very different from what this originally looked like. But the brazenness, man. Yeah. Anyway,
it's literally no different at all. It's exactly the same. It's not even a different lighting pass or like a paint job. It's like it's just exactly the same.
It is. Yeah, well, fucking catch me, idiot. Try to catch me. Let's take some letters. castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
Oh.
All right, here's one coming in. Hello, Patsworth and Woo Boy Vin. On episode 311, you were talking about not wanting to be cynical about games and how Pat learned to be cynical as a reaction to how uncritical he was, and I wanted to chip in.
I was a sweet boy back in the day.
I had Drake is now legally the loser of a rap battle, by the way. That's it. That's all. He has now legally lost a rap battle.
A judge said so.
Yeah, that's it. All right, moving on. I had a 7-year stint where I got burned by every game I was excited for in 2015. Fallout 4, 2016, No Man's Sky, which I took a day off of work for, 2017, Destiny 2, 2018, Fallout 76, 2019, Sekiro, I Can't Parry, 2020, Cyberpunk, 2021, Halo Infinite, and Diablo 2 Remaster. It got to the point where my friends told me to stop getting excited at all because I was jinxing good games. If Elden Ring 2022 flopped, I was legit going to stop caring about games. Have you ever had an Elden Ring-like moment where you almost stopped getting excited only for that to get reinvigorated?
No, never. And one of the things that I really need to point out is that I just listened to that list, and there was like one thing about that list that really jumped out at me, which was every single one of those was a super large scale, long in development, big budget game. And most of them were shooters.
It's the most screaming obvious problem there is literally
2 of them were from the same franchise.
Give a shit about indie games sometimes, and also you don't have to play it on release. Sometimes you can wait. You don't have to be on the in the cult of the new, on the bleeding edge sometimes, and being only into AAA will disappoint you. So yeah, that's there's your problem. All right.
Yeah, you should play. You should widen your scope. Go, yeah. Somebody in the chat says, "Go play UFO 50."
I was about to
fucking...
literally say, "Go play UFO 50." The words were forming and bubbling. It's like, fuck all that shit. Go play UFO 50 right now and make up for all those bad games with one really good one with all of them in it. Go get that. That's your fucking homework. Okay, we got another one over here. Hello. No, you get no funny names.
Nice.
Rank the incarnations of Devil Trigger across the DMC series. All right. I have...
Who's the worst? Who's the bottom?
Okay. Standout favorites. The cut full Nero DT from 4.
Okay.
With the
That's
hood.
not real, but okay.
Also, the cut Dante Shin DT from 4 were the two sickest designs that never got used.
Not real. They don't count.
And that's tragic to me because they're my favorite. The Shin Devil Trigger and full Nero from 4. All right. Counting what's in now, like honorable mention aside. I fucking love Nero 4 with the doppelganger ghost. I love that. I love that so much. With the stand is the raddest shit, and it's a Devil Trigger. It's not the same Devil Trigger, but it is a DT.
That is also my favorite.
It's the best.
That is also my favorite by far. By far.
It's so
because
cool.
the sword swings aren't synced up correctly.
They're spinning in opposite directions. They're not. There's a delay on some of them. Matt, you know? Yes, 100. Right underneath that, I'm gonna say Dreadnought.
Dreadnought's all right.
I really like Dreadnought.
If I had to go, my number 2, it would be Dante from 4, actually, because it's the one where he looks the most like he's just wearing his coat.
Yeah. 3. I mean, Kaneko 3, you know, is also very like the coat's right there.
I don't care for the Kanekos at all.
Well, I'm fine.
I would put them near the bottom.
So here's the thing, like the bug stuff is more Sparta-ish, but it's not the coolest.
Yeah.
The coolest shit is I'm with you. I'm like, I don't like, I like them, but I don't love them as much as I love the best, the ones I love the most, you know? But they're cool. And if you want Bug Sparta, this is the children of Bug Sparta. I completely agree. I like those ones I've listed, and you know what I'd even throw in above that? So you said 2 is the worst. But what about Lucia? Remember the Angel Bird?
Okay.
I like her Lucia's Angel Bird DT thing. I thought that was interesting. She has an angel trigger, and I don't hate the way that looked. I thought that was cool. So that is a part of 2 that I'm gonna give its flowers.
DMC ones are fine, I guess.
Yeah, they're
Actually no. You know what? I'm gonna say that. I'm going to see DMC 2 and then DMC 1.
2, 1.
3 is above those for sure.
You know, and then there's Sparta. And did I see... I think I saw some fan art or something where it was Sparta, but the eyes were not like the super tiny ones on his cheeks. They were in like... the dome up top, and those were just a glowing like scar. It was like a weird different interpretation of him, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, right? It was kind of like the alien head seeing like the weird fucking inside skull bit where you're like, a different take on it. I'm not I don't hate it immediately, versus the weird squashed Muppet face, you know.
I think I can solve this for myself very quickly. It goes everything from 4, everything from 5, then 3, then 1, then 2. But like way out ahead is Nero with the stand.
Nero with the stand is the fucking power gap. Yep.
Way out ahead.
And look, Nero in 5 with his proper own, you know, fucking look.
Still cool.
It's cool. But him with the stand is unbelievable. Yeah, there you go. I pull parts out. I put Lucia up a little further. I put Dreadnought up a little further. The Kanekos are there. Yeah, again, you can't disrespect the fucking Kanekos. You can't. They're cool in their own right, and the arm blade fucking sheath, you know. But it's just.
I just don't like how skinny they are.
It's a different proportion. It's a different energy, and it's more bug. And I definitely am like, I like the less buggy stuff.
I do like how every weapon has a slightly different one.
DMC1 as well, right? Like they are
very slightly different in one.
The colors change. All right.
Oh wow, we did. Yeah, you know what? You're right, guy in chat. We didn't even mention Dino.
His hair changes.
So what's the next
color.
email?
Good afternoon, Kaka, Wooly, and Pat. I know where that's. Yeah. The discussion last week on poor adaptations. With that, I'd feel remiss if I didn't bring up what is arguably the perfect case of an adaptation: Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
I'll include a link to a video that discusses and gives evidence over 2 hours, but I'll tell you in brief, I've heard about this for sure. I know what you're talking about here. That the benefit of the entire series being completed upon its adaptation, the animation studio was able to improve the existing material, because it was originally a novel, by reinserting events in chronological order that are told non-linearly in a dry textbook fashion in the novels. It creates
weird.
It creates much more drama and attachment to characters that end up dying over the course of the war, avoids spoiling major events that the books take with the gravity of a historical event. I'm sure there are other adaptations that could be expanded on if you want to give this discussion another round, but in this case, I wanted to jog your memory on this classic and possibly improve the application as a masterwork, as it is a masterwork. It is a masterwork. You are completely right. This is a great exception to that case, and that's why I'm just saying, like, there's no absolute on it. That is a fantastic example of an improvement via adaptation, but it's just not going to be the rule, you know. There's always going to be an exception.
Like, when I said stop adapting things, what I really said is, if you're bad at making things, don't make anything. That's what I really wanted to say.
Well, that's why that's why my version of it is aren't necessary. Right?
Yeah.
It's saying that in a lot of cases, very, very bad versions of this thing are coming out because the brand is trying to push itself into a higher tier of medium.
I think that if you are a bad artist, you should not be making art. You should, in fact, quit. And you should make that discovery very quickly. So when you start drawing and you're not good at it right away, you should just quit.
Pat, people that are not artists are making art. What the fuck are you talking
terrible.
about?
That's awful.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? We're so far past what you're describing.
That's terrible.
All right. See you next week.